stopping you. Something you must throw away. We can follow, we can fly. Take a leap from the other side. We can follow, we can fly. Take something you must throw away. We can fly. Take a leap from the other side. Take my hand and we'll run.
Hello and welcome back to yet another Boise State esports broadcast, coming to you from the beautiful city of Boise, Idaho, the city of trees. My name is Adam Chizu McGuire, safely at least 6 feet away from my co-caster today, Daniel Glovely Clock. Thank you so much for joining me, sir, and what do we have on today's docket?
Well, today we're going through a high school tournament, and I think it's going to be a great time. I'm really excited to see what goes on. The high school tournament is actually where I initially started here with Boise State Esports. So for me, this is kind of an anniversary, so happy anniversary.
That's fantastic, man. The League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series. And Glovely, as we jump into things today, we're going to be seeing quite a few nuances that one wouldn't necessarily see within like the pro league or even the collegiate league at this point. And since this is kind of your wheelhouse, what can we come to expect as tonight Bishop Kelly takes on Mountain Home in this best of 5?
So one of the things I absolutely love about the high school scene is that they've got a lot more variety in the champion pools that they bring out. Like, we could see some really crazy stuff. You never know. We might see the Teemo come down. We might see Udyr. A lot of champions that you don't get in the high pro play meta just because they're not really as viable at those higher levels of play.
Absolutely, and you were mentioning before we got into the actual broadcast as we were touching notes, Silas from Mountain Home. There's one player in particular we may need to pay attention to because he seemed to run rampant on that champion. Give me a little bit more insight.
Well, yesterday, Guananabon actually was the name of the player. Pulled out a Silas and just went hyper carry man mode on the team. Looks like they are going to go into picks and bans. We see Bishop Kelly there on the left and Mountain Home on the right. So here we go, getting ready for the first game. Lots of champions that are available to these high school students. So it looks like first ban is going to go to red side.
Yeah, Set going to be one of the first one there. It's one of those situations where Set is just so unbelievably strong, no matter where you put him, that he can really influence a game just simply by existing.
All right, the next ban is on the table. Apparently, it's going to be IDARNG.
With your eyes closed.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those situations again. Yeah, we're a couple seconds behind, but yes, the IDARNG going to be another ban. Just a very interesting kind of pick that might be a pocket situation. I'm not seeing a whole lot of IDARNGs recently, but again, being a college series, or high school series for that matter, you never know what the situation might be.
I mean, here at Boise State, we have seen it been pulled out by the Boise State crew as a support, even as an AD carry. So that champion does have a lot of versatility he brings to the table. Getting that off the table prevents all that utility from coming into the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see as we continue on with the bans here what is inevitably going to hit the table. Don't be surprised if you see kind of your pocket assassins, things like not necessarily a Kali due to the power drop, but a Swain as well as an Ashe picked on either side. Very quick lock-ins from these two teams. So Swain's one of those ones where, again, just super annoying to deal with, hyper carry through and through, and then Ashe might be a little bit of reconnaissance more than anything else.
Yeah, actually, I think that both champions have a lot of global pressure that they bring to the table, so getting those champions off allows you to maybe have a little bit less stat there to worry about. Sion and Pyke now going to be banned away. Sion, absolutely great champion for initiating fights. Gale's really well to take it permanently. And Galio going to be the first pickup for Bishop Kelly.
The very interesting thing about that is I was talking about your pocket assassins. Looks like getting rid of the Pyke is one of those, again, pocket assassins to get rid of once he snowballs out of control. So probably a good removal there from Mountain Home. The Galio first pick, interesting. A very, very strong magic resist heavy champion, able again to bring in some of those global ultimates you were talking about. Counter that possibly with a Renekton, the exact opposite, I guess, of your guy.
Well, one thing we have to remember is that the Renekton, yes, it is a really strong lane into the Galio. Magic resistance is going to do a lot against the heavy AD pressure that Renekton's going to put on you, but both of them are capable of swapping lanes. Galio can even go support if you really want to. Nico is going to be a pickup for Mountain Home there. Great AP champion and brings a lot of burst damage to the table.
Well, go ahead and add yourself a Warwick to the mix, as you'll have not only the tank stats in the jungle, but an ability to lock down just about anyone you want. Anyone jumping back in to help them will be pushed away with that fear. And speaking of fear, you can't rhyme it with Azir. You kind of can. Regardless, we'll be seeing the Shurima shuffle here in the mid lane.
I think that's a very interesting choice so far. Warwick is really great at, you know, rushing in, and you could use the Galio on top of that to try and enable your engages. But Azir really has to protect himself. You don't have your front line. You've already committed your front line to being a very dive-heavy composition. It's very engage-based, so we'll see how Mountain Home's going to answer that. They are going to pick up the Heimerdinger.
Now, we do see on Twitch chat, we have a little hint of a possible Heimerdinger jungle. I would be more than ecstatic to see a meta break of that caliber. Could definitely go mid, and we have seen support in patches previous, but now we get into the other ban phase, number 2, if you are keeping track at home. Anything you're interested in seeing removed here, Glovely?
As far as champions go, looking at the side of Mountain Home, I think that they've got a very AoE-focused composition. They want a little more stuff to lock people down to the area, so you can drop Nico, so you can have the Heimerdinger be able to just wail on people. So maybe something like a Jarvan the Fourth, a Nivea. You've got a lot of champions that can create these zones of control. So that's something I think Mountain Home needs to be looking for. On the side of Bishop Kelly, on the other hand, I think they need protection from their backline, or they need a very self-sufficient bot lane, and getting Caitlyn off the table is going to help them out, picking whatever their bot lane is. She's very strong against a lot of the champions that are otherwise like Ezreal, like Lucian. On the other side, I believe that is Thresh being banned away.
Right, and I'm not sure if we missed the banner, if it's just misplaced, but Thresh, a very, very strong, engage-heavy support, which would allow for Bishop Kelly to continue the onslaught. Basically, not only now do you have to worry about the Warwick and the Galio taunt, as well as the Stream of Shuffle, but a Thresh to death sentence in also is unbelievably obnoxious. Just the Q alone being able to provide that pressure. So we'll see if what the final bans could be. Wouldn't be surprised if I see like a Zaya or a Lucian. Instead, we're getting rid of a Teemo. Okie dokie. It's been a while since I've seen a Teemo ban outside of solo queue, but hey, it could be the one trick. And Kindred going to be the final removal here in ban phase number 2.
So Kindred really great at keeping people alive. It is going to be Kai'Sa picked up for Mountain Home as their AD carry. So, while maybe not as self-sufficient as a lot of other champions, she does have a lot of burst damage. She can very quickly reposition herself in these fights. She's got a lot of tools to do it from your teammates. Jinx going to be the pickup on the other side. That's a hyper carry. If she gets rolling, it's hard to stop her.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things where if you can shut it down early, that will be fine, but based on how much secondary line she has from the lockdowns we were talking about, the CCs provided, she's really going to be able to move all over the place and put out an exponential amount of damage in the process. So, as you mentioned, Glovely, that is a support Galio from the looks of it, as that Ornn more than likely going into the top lane, but we could see a swap of that with Alistar being the final pick for bottom side for Mountain Home.
Yeah, I do think that the Alistar is a really interesting pick. It's very much a aggressive thing. It's very good for your bot lane, especially with Kai'Sa, because he does bring that crowd control to proc her passive very quickly. But on the other hand, he doesn't really bring a whole lot of ability to lock people into an area where the Heimerdinger and the Nico can really benefit from that.
Absolutely, and again, you are currently watching the League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series presented by Boise State Esports. Again, Bishop Kelly going against Mountain Home here, and we could see a knockdown drag him out of unbelievably epic proportions. Again, you're getting a look at the picks there. Very interested to see how this all will work out in the overall. Glovely, as we take a look, as you are my analyst guy, the dude who can see things that are somehow invisible to me, anything glaring as far as informational setup on these two teams right now for you?
I think both teams are absolutely looking to team fight. Looking at their compositions, we've got this huge AoE wombo combo potential between the Nico and the Heimerdinger for that zone control around objectives, so I think they'll have a stronger objective control. but I also think that the tempo of the game can really be set by Bishop Kelly. Warwick is incredible at being able to create pressure across the map with that Bloodhunter passive, especially if he maxes that first for the extra movement speed. So I do think that Warwick is someone you'll have to watch where he's moving in the jungle, because he's going to dictate the pace of the early game.
Absolutely, and again, as you mentioned, it's a full dive and go kind of composition here from the side of Bishop Kelly. They have to make sure that these engages are pristine. It's one of those situations where if you jump on the wrong individual or misread a possible gank scenario, your whole concept actually kind of starts to fall apart, you know what I mean? As, you know, 3 people engage on one guy, not realizing the other 4 are coming on the flank kind of situation. And so those favorable team fights can turn into kind of very dramatic oopsies at the very best.
Well, you do have to remember that one thing Bishop Kelly has going for them is that they only have one tank they have to worry about. Alistar is the only source of bulk for the side of Mountain Home. So just about any target that they catch out is going to just go splat if they've got enough damage to put on it. However, they are building a lot of tanks in their build. I'm not sure how much damage they're expecting to get out of it unless one of them starts getting off on a tear.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Jinx is one of those individual champions that even just a small amount of resource can absolutely snowball her out of control. Same can be said, though, for Azir, a champion that I'm starting to just gain so much more respect for as like the seasons go on. Not only does he have the ability to be mobile, which in a mid laner is absolutely needed without burning summoner spells, but his raw damage output is just absolutely disgusting. And so I'm curious to see how the Jinx versus Azir matchup will go into the later game, who's got the resources to continue those leads, and who gets shut down in the process.
So the Jinx and the Azir are actually on this same team, but we're going to look right now at Doc's keys to the game. First of all, never take a fair fight, and that's good advice. In any situation, you want to have that numbers advantage. Don't get caught out. Be smart about where you fight, so positioning is important. Fight where and when you want, not where the opposing team wants. That's going to be absolutely key, especially with the ability to pick off targets. And of course, first dragon, first tower, get those early advantages and snowball into the late game.
Absolutely. And of course, Doc's Keys to the Game brought to you by Boise State University. Again, thank you to them for allowing us to be on desk today for the League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series. Bishop Kelly going against Mountain Home. Do you have any first blood predictions, as apparently I can't even remember who's on which team as we move forward, not realizing that Jinx and Azir, yeah, we're exactly on the same team.
I think if both teams want to take it careful and slow, then what's going to happen is Alistar is going to hit level 3, and then we're going to see a really dangerous engage in that bot lane. So I think bot lane is where we need to look for the first early aggression, at least. I don't think Renekton is going to be able to do too much as long as the lanes play safe.
Yeah, always. And apparently we took a quick peek at that real quick. The Boise State Arena, obviously being safe, protected, all of these teams playing from the safe and comfortable distance during the whole situation. But again, Glovely, cannot thank you enough for joining me today. It's been far too long, man. Like I said, this is the Idaho National Guard League of Legends tournament. You said you've been here for quite a while. Kind of fill me in on what has happened since round number 1.
Well, when I said I've been here for quite a while, I meant I was talking about 2 years ago. I got involved in the tournament, helping set up things, being involved in production. I believe I met you that day. That was the first time we met.
Might have actually been.
First time I met
Yeah.
Dr. Haskell. Yeah.
Well,
it's a little nostalgic thinking back on it now.
Yeah, like, again, these are the future esports athletes, if you will. I mean, scouting and stuff like that starts in the high school era for conventional sports, as they say. And so I'm very curious to see what erupts from this series. I mean, obviously, Boise State will be watching some of these players, but it's possible that they could end up anywhere from here as the esports bubble is kind of just exploding with opportunities.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see exactly what all of these players bring to the table. I certainly didn't have high school esports back in my day, so that makes me feel a little old to be saying it like that, but yeah, they've got a lot of opportunities for themselves here moving forward. I'm sure that there are a lot of teams watching, Boise State especially. So I'm having people ask me like what games I played back in high school. I didn't actually get into League of Legends until I got into college.
Oh
So
boy, I was
that
already
should
out at
tell
that
you about
point.
how old I am. So I think back then, I think we were in like the 4th generation of Pokemon and the Nintendo
Okay, all
DS.
right. Yep, definitely
So
dating yourself.
so Diamond,
I would
Pearl,
have,
Platinum. Yeah, I'm old.
without a doubt, I would have been a Diablo 2 like PvP esport
Yeah.
guy. Like I remember those days of bail runs, Trist runs, just smashing everything. So if I would have had esports back then, yeah, it would have without a doubt been Diablo 2. I almost didn't graduate because of that game.
You know, I picked up on this one game. It was called S4 League, and it was absolutely fantastic.
You were the only
Oh,
other
you
person
know
I
it?
forgot that knows about
Yes,
S4
yes,
League.
it is. We're the only people who remember S4 League. If you remember
Shout out
S4
to
League when
S4
it was
League.
good in the chat, just, you know, I mean, type an F in the chat because it's not really what it used to be. That's what
All right,
happens when
Glovely,
a game
after
goes
this,
pay
we're
to win.
re-downloading S4. You and me were playing until the break of dawn, buddy. But first, we got to
Oh,
cast these
no, I
games
don't
and
know
get them
about
out of the
that.
way. Let's do it. Let me throw it on stream. It'll be the next Boise State esport. But now we jump into the real ordeal at hand. Bishop Kelly versus Mountain Home. This is a best of 5 series, meaning every game counts. Sure, you can get away with a little bit of this and that, but not if you mess around too much. The emote there, the thumbs up, and away we go. Glovely, anything curious right here off the bat? I believe the answer is no, because they're all pretty much the same.
Well, we definitely do get to confirm the fact that it's going to be Galio in that bot lane as the support. Most of the champions, pretty standard runes. I do notice that, yes, that is Jungle Heimerdinger. It is real. And he's running Dark Harvest. So I am curious to see exactly how he's going to go about that. Probably going to most likely match the Max Stun Grenade and the turret first. We do see a great trade there coming out from Dark Heavenly Wolf onto Max Lives. He does have the ability to get through it though, tanky enough, but he does lose a sizable portion of his health bar. You gotta be worried about that early game protection.
Well, there's one of the things you do have to pay attention to, especially this being a high school tournament. As some aggression coming in, he's going to headbutt the wall. Nothing doing as Renetta going to peel out of there. But pay very close attention to creep score. I know that seems super weird to say, but that is one of the biggest places where advantages can be found by either one of these teams. You out-farm somebody by 40 to 50 with the possibility. A lot of damage can be done. Speaking of, in jumps the Renekton. Going to be able to find max lives at less than 100 health for a quick second. But you know how top lane goes. Wet Noodle fights up to a degree. They're able to heal right on back, and a nice Q is going to equalize.
Yep, and it's all about the sustain there in the top lane for Max Life. If he can out-sustain Dark Heavenly Wolf, and he's doing a pretty good job. Oh, down the bot lane, we do see a taunt come out. Kyosaurus is going to find Glitch hit. Not enough damage. Dark Heavenly Wolf goes in again. Rocks the damage. First blood in the top lane. You got to be careful of Renekton. He has so much early game pressure. He can run away with the game if you let him.
Takes a step up and gets buried in the dust. We have ourselves a gank here on the mid lane. In jumps that Azir Hungry Dragon looking for something, but X-Ray is just going to do the thing where you run around back to your jungle, because here comes Ganwanabon, that jungle Heimer we were talking about. Is coming out from one of the soldiers, but a lockout is going to do a serious amount. X-Ray is able to pick that up. Hungry Dragon going to fall in the fray, and now this Azir has to get out of here as quick as possible. Another Dark Harvest proc there. The stun is coming in, followed by the E there from the... Nico is the name I'm looking for. I got caught up there, but wow, an opportunity to get out. Flash expended, teleport coming back here in the top lane.
I really hope this Heimer becomes meta. That was really well played. They used the stuns, layered the CC, and then they had those turrets down to provide more additional damage for the Max Life now getting pulled out a little bit. He's not able to proc those brittle procs, unfortunately. So great job by Dark Heavenly Wolf picking those skirmish fights, just getting in, getting the trade, and getting out.
Yeah, we did see a pretty gutsy move there from the bottom side, the Justice Punch into the taunt, but Max Lives here is going to put on some more damage despite giving over the first blood. Still feels confident enough as the jungler is waiting in the wings here. It looks like Warwick is going to jump in on this. We'll see what he has available. He is not able to get the stun, which means Dark Heavenly Wolf just needs to get out of here, but the Brittle Proc is going to force the flash, and Dark Heavenly Wolf able to get out, able to escape the 2v1.
Yeah, but that was a flash. It's a very important summoner spell. Max Lives still has his. Didn't get to use it when he went down. So that's basically inviting Warwick for a return gang, especially if Max can find a good situation. But Grenadabon finds out Hungry Dragon in the jungle. He puts down the turret. There's the roar. Is he going to connect? No, he misses. And now he's surrounded by multiple members and turrets. Flashes, but not able to get away. Dark Heavenly Wolf going to pick up the kill.
Is able to use the stun despite being below 200 health. A great rotation from all of the members of Mountain Home. Headbutt is going to find Guanwanabon, but he is okay fighting this out. He's going to get some help from the Krugs here. Max Lives now is in a precarious situation between an NPC and some PvP. He's waiting for the flash, no mana, as Guanwanabon is going to be able to hit him. But a great use of the Blast Cone, going to put him in the Baron Pit, and he should be able to get out of there.
Yeah, that's two flashes two flashes burned. So one flash for another. Both champions going to be able to hop over that wall, but the blast cone, of course, is what gives the difference there. Thank goodness for that extra mobility there. Neither champion naturally has the ability to get over those walls. That's the downside of the jungle Heimerdinger. You don't have that mobility. Meanwhile, Hungry Dragon is in the Dragon Pit, and it looks like he's being eaten by it.
Oh, and a flash Justice Punch. The taunts are in, but Gwenwanabon able to get the kill there on Warwick, who was left all by his own. Put to sleep permanently. Lagging boss fight on that Kaisa. Gonna pick themselves up one as well. This should be a free air Drake over to the side of Mountain Home after this what appears to be just great transitions from lane to objective, and a jump in is not going to be enough, and Alistair's actually going to pick up the dragon, beating out the smite that did not exist, so that would make more sense. They're going to pick up the scuttle. A little inverse jungling there. You get the dragon and the scuttle, right, Lovely?
Yeah, and actually, I think that was a great play there. A good attempt from Kamarov, but of course not able to follow up on that. Very unfortunate situation whenever your jungler doesn't have that smite. It does create that sort of 50-50 scenario. But now here, we see Dark Heavenly Wolf putting a lot of damage on Max Lives, is able to keep himself up thanks to that Grasp of the Undying, but not able to win this trade.
Yeah, it's kind of been the overall back and forth of these two teams. And as you take a look at what both of these teams have to offer right now, a 6-kill lead in the side of Mountain Home. Your top laner, your jungle up 2-0-3 if you're the jungle side of things. But as far as your mid and ADC, looking really good and running the perfect game is that support Alistair right now. No kills, no deaths, but a handful of hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, we do see some great pressure there in the mid lane. Mountain Home really doing things. We see Dark Heavenly Wolf go over the wall, finds out Hungry Dragon in his own jungle. This Warwick is just not having a great game today. Dark Heavenly Wolf does pop the Shaman Onyx, goes in for it, is able to get the Warwick. Now Max Lives might be cut out, does get rooted. Blast Cone over the wall, trying to follow up. Does he have the damage? Yes, he does. Double kill. Ulti comes out from the Nico. They're not able to continue over the Emperor's Divide, though, so they are going to have to back away. But now the Rift Herald is open for the taking.
And that will allow them to put even more pressure on any one of these winning lanes, allowing them to gain more resources, push the lanes that they absolutely want to. And then as they continue on, it's going to be one of those things where you've already got a lead, you might as well extend it. 5,000 gold at 9 minutes, a pretty large number, but we'll see what unfolds. Hungry Dragon again, 0-4, just getting picked on throughout the course of this game, and this Heimer is not going to relent. The smite comes down on the blue, giving him extra that he needed there, but it looks like the bottom lane going to crash in as well, but unfortunately just not enough damage there from the side of Bishop Kelly to get any kind of ground here. Rift Herald summoned in the top side, no real surprise here as the tower will start to aggro on that. Should give them an opportunity to destroy it here in just a few seconds. When Wanabon takes a large amount of damage, Dark Heavenly Wolf as well. He's gonna get the shutdown, and that tower is Bon Jovi living on a prayer as Gwen Wanabon is going to heal on out of there. But here comes the Ornhorn. He misses the secondary, is not able to put the damage down, but Hungry Dragon should be able to follow. I stand corrected here as Hungry Dragon with the Blood Scent going to try to travel through is not able to get the last bit of damage. How brave do you feel, Big Bad Wolf? Able to get the Q, some extra damage, the tower, and the rockets. Gwen Wanabon is going to walk away with a kill.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate there. One thing I would have liked to see out of Max Lives is he could have attempted to use the charge to knock up over the wall. He wouldn't have been able to get over there, but at least it would have given him the position to try and delay for his teammate. That was a bit of an unfortunate chase now. Ooh, X-Ray deletes Camroth in the mid lane. Great play there from that Nico. 11-1 now. 11-2-1 from Mountain Home against Bishop Kelly here as we now hit the 10.25 minute mark.
Yeah, it was one of those things that the camera was on you, but I was like, okay, we've got to fight in the mid lane, we've got to fight in the mid lane, and then my face did one of the, like, situations where one eye gets all big, the other's all small. So, you know, maybe I'll get that to you next time. But a fight here on the top side as Max lives, going to try to put more damage here onto Heavenly Wolf. As, yeah, I mean, despite what the numbers are telling you, this Renekton is quite far ahead. But apparently that is not going to stop this Ornn, and a nice push out of the way of these Dogfighters. And the Go ultimate is going to be canceled out, and Little Boss Fight picks up the first one. And more damage coming up here on the top side. Wanabon says, oh, rocket the goal, and gets a double kill here on the bottom side. Lagging Boss Fight is 3-0-1, already has the Manamura, and is going to continue to wreck this lane unless they get something going here. Right now, 1-14, almost 12 minutes in, and Mountain Home has a stranglehold on this game number 1.
Yeah, interrupting that hero's entrance was really clutch by Void Potatoes. Interrupting that not only allowed him to be able to catch that Galio out, but also set that very powerful roaming ability on cooldown. So now Bishop Kelly is going to have to deal with that. It's going to have to deal with not having that tool in their kit, as Mountain Home is now sieging this mid lane tower. I don't think he can go in. Does do the Shurima Shuffle. Finds free underneath the tower. Can he survive? No, does get blown up. But will he climb the Renekton? No. Is going to get away.
The Ornhorn, and it looks like we've got a Keck out here in the jungle. When Wanabon got too brave and finds 3 members of Bishop Kelly, the Ornhorn. I don't even know if it hit anybody. We can just pretend that it did, but it didn't lead into anything crazy. However, it looks like Mountain Home will be dropping in on this bottom turret. They also have an opportunity to stop this dragon, but it doesn't appear that they're any of the wiser. So this Ocean Drake should go over to Bishop Kelly. Flight is down a little early, but the arrival of Max Lives for that matter, is going to ensure another Drake there, this time going to Bishop Kelly.
What looked like a great situation for Mountain Home turned disastrous. That Shurima Shuffle actually put their health bars so low that they weren't able to continue the fight. They lost their jungler there. And because their health bars were so low, they weren't able to contest Mountain Home around the dragon.
Yeah, this will allow Bishop Kelly a little bit of wiggle room, but not a whole lot at that point. As you see that huge gold lead, 2-15 in the kill spread at 13.5 minutes, and right now you've got a 6-1-3. Wait for it, Glovely. Jungle Heimer. I don't understand. Either way, you have a fight breaking out here. The stun is coming through, and Max Lives is going to get Max deleted as X-Ray hits him with the Blossom. Another kill there for the side of Mountain Home. This will open up the map for them in ways that only a pick like that can. Now they have access to just about everything because there's no tank really other than the Warwick to stop them.
Well, they do have the Galio, but he is currently building mostly AP. He is trying to build the components for the Hextech Proto Belt. Not something you usually see on a support.
Right.
Turret plating falls down, and Mountain Home now has priority and control over the mid lane tower. There's the attempt. Field of Durant does find Dark Heavenly Wolf, but now he's in the middle of 3 people. Dark Heavenly Wolf is going to pick up the elimination as Hungry Dragon now has to retreat. Gwenonabon, this monstrous Heimerdinger. I can't believe I'm saying the word. Is chasing him down. Stuns him with the flash. full control of the jungle now as they continue to pressure this top lane in a day.
And this is where if you had one of those like cowbells, you'd ring it. It's 10,000 gold difference here at this point. Mountain Home is just unrelenting with the rotations. Their pressure has been phenomenal, and it looks like they're going to pick up this game number one relatively, I don't want to say easy, that's not the word I'm looking for, but effective.
Yeah, I think a lot of things played in their favor, especially being able to catch out Hungry Dragon so early, so many times in his own jungle. Warwick's big strength is in that early game, but when you're up against a Heimerdinger and he's able to set down the turrets, to stun you, to deny you all of those advantages that you get from healing up in the trades, overall, it's really hard to do anything as this Warwick. Although, on the other hand, the big shutdown from the Heimerdinger did go onto their Jinx, so they are getting a lot of damage out of that. This goes down on 2, 3 mid double, deals Durant 5-4, there's a huge burst in the middle of Mr. Tilly. Here comes the dynamic entrance with too little, too late. X-Ray gets melted. There is a shutdown, though. As X-Ray falls, Void Potatoes is going to lose the left as well. There's the Ornhorn. Does find legging boss fight.
Oh no!
Unfortunate flash. Shutdown goes over to this Warwick, and they're back in this game.
Oh my goodness, lovely. I didn't anticipate it. That setup was absolutely phenomenal. The way that the Alistair was able to pulverize and push I can't even remember, I think it was the Azir into the Blossom, locking all four down, so much damage, but then Bishop Kelly just had the numbers advantage and were able to just freight train Mountain Home there. Interesting given the current circumstance up here. Still about a 9,000 gold lead, but Bishop Kelly does have that fight in them.
Yeah, they're trying to find it here. Mountain Home, though, not going to let him get away. We do see the ultimate version of Heimerdinger's Stun Grenade come out. Does not manage to land onto any targets, but Max Lies running for his life. Void Potatoes comes in the middle. Doesn't get the knockup, but he does find the headbutt, and that's enough to dispel Doom.
Yeah, and another ultimate there from the Nico. Hey, I remembered her name this time. Void Potatoes, though, still on the hunt, is going to find Orn here, and the rest of Mountain Home able to collapse. Not sure why Max went down that way. Maybe looking for the cheeky Alco return, but is not going to really do anything for them. They need to get rid of this other Shelly here in the very near future as well. So be aware, we'll drop that. I'll probably drop it in the mid to bottom lane, since top has already received so much damage, but it just depends on where they want to get this pressure.
Yeah, if I was them, like, mid lane is great, definitely. Whenever you can get mid lane is fantastic. But you can draw pressure away from the mid. You already have a pretty big mini wave down in that bot lane. I'd say drop it down there, use your team to pressure mid and create pressure across the map.
Oh, and a Shurima Shuffle gone awry, but hey, at least you got the stun disc there. Just getting Void Potatoes from the flank is going to pulverize and tenderize everybody in his path, taking so much damage in the process. The Jinx ult is in, but it's just not enough. That's what happens when you are that far behind. It looked promising, but it wasn't enough. And X-Ray just gonna BM it up. Lagging boss fight going to follow as well. Dark Heavenly Wolf looking for a fight here. Just getting when Wanabon was getting the Draken, and now everyone is jumping in here. Dark Hungry Wolf is going to find Hungry Dragon. I'm getting the names all mixed up, but X-Ray falls in the fray. Here comes Gwen Wanabon. 90% of his team's resources are on him, and look at how much damage those towers do. Those little turrets are absolutely exponential here. It's 1v3, now a 2v1.
It's gonna be a penta!
Favor. It could very well be, as Gwen Wanabon has the 1v4 Quadra already. Can he find the Penta? Oh,
there's no flash here. He's getting Dark Harvest.
Here comes the Rockets. Barrier going to be burned there and denying the Penta. Oh my goodness, Gwen Wanabon cannot be happy about that. Rockets come through. Not even going to stagnate the back. Just kidding. It's the grenade that does it. As this is going to be dropped here on the bottom side. Meaning if this Mountain Home crew can just continue to stay on the bottom lane if they choose.
That was a great move by Gwenonabon. Yes, his teammates got caught out, but he already had all of the turrets set up in the Dragon Pit from taking that Infernal Drake. And as a result, does so much damage because they're walking into multiple turrets. Even as they clear them out, their jungler Warwick just gets melted trying to walk in. Even though they clear a turret, and you lose the ore because he's just not tanking. He's so far behind. He's only got one magic resist item that he's just picked up, and that Negatron cloak isn't going to be enough to negate everything a Heimerdinger can put out, especially not a Heimerdinger 12, 1, and 6 as a jungler. I don't believe what I'm seeing.
Nani! It's one of those situations where we said this could either be the best or worst thing to happen. It turns out to be A-okay. As two individuals here are going to jump on the Dark Heavenly Wolf, but it's not going to be enough as he just peels on out of there after getting that tower. So his job is done. You see the rotation more towards the top side. Vision going to be pushed out. They're going to see this Galio, and they're going to see the Warwick. So the rest of Mountain Home rotating up. They can put pressure here on this Baron, especially considering the way that these turrets function, as the rest of Mountain Home is able to kind of push everybody else out. Stun going in, as well as the W there from Kaisa, but no follow-up. And now they have to know. Here comes the pop loss, and they're going to find one lagging boss fight, able to find it. As the rest of Mountain Home collapse, they are going to find not only the Baron, but a handful of kills in the process.
That was only 3 members of Mountain Home. That's how far ahead they are at this point. On top of that, Hungry Dragon used up his smite to take the blue buff just to ensure he had it for his team. Unfortunately, is going to go over to that Nico in the end, who does find the elimination. Camroth trying to do something about it, but X-Ray in a pretty healthy, comfortable position. It's going to take a couple of tower shots, but he's relatively healthy. This tower looks like it's going to be falling soon. Actually, a lot of damage coming out from Camroth. Does do the Shurima Shuffle that gets blown up by this Heimerdinger. Gwenonabon.
It's one of those situations where you really wish that wasn't the case. You have this great 1v2, you're in his ear, you do an absurd amount of damage, might as well just jump in on the squishiest members on the opposite team, but then just too much CC, too much lockdown, and unfortunately he just gets picked apart by now the 13-1 and 6 Heimer. All he has to do is look at you the wrong way and you explode. So we'll see if there is any more fight here for Bishop Kelly, but it is looking unbelievably bleak. It's only game 1 of 5 though. So let's start talking about the next game. Is this one of those situations where you might want to change the draft? Because I don't necessarily see any issues between the picks, but rather just the macro here from Mountain Home has been absolutely stellar from minute 1.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think that honestly, Bishop Kelly's got a really good composition. If I changed anything up, I would probably change the Galio. It really hasn't had much of an ability to impact the game. We've only seen 2 ultimates, and only one of them has landed, another got interrupted. The Shield of Durand hasn't been super impactful either, so maybe swap that out for a different champion since you already have a lot of tanky champions on your team. We do see a good engagement. Max Lives gets knocked out. There's the Oranhorn. As I talked, the hero's entrance finds multiple targets. It doesn't do enough damage. They're not able to follow up. X-Ray gets the first elimination for the side of Mountain Home now, as they've got bleeding health bars and they're under a rapidly dropping Azir turret.
Bishop Kelly was the one to start that. Gwenwanabon going to find another as everybody uses everything to get out of there, but the stun is enough. A double for Gwenwanabon. And as I said, Bishop Kelly were the aggressive there. A teleport coming in. The Croc is going to show you what a real knife looks like. Just kidding. They're going to leave it to the Nico, who's just, I don't know, getting a magic spell at that point. But the teleport pushes them into the rest of Mountain Home. They will be able to close this out as Mountain Home able to attack that goes out. Now you're just playing for fantasy points, and next number 1 going to fall in advantage on Mountain Home.
So for those of you at home, I do ask that you don't start flooding my solo queue games with Jungle Heimerdinger after seeing that. I think that worked because of really smart play, good team coordination. I don't think that you'd be able to just walk into any game with Heimerdinger and to be able to walk away with that like Gwenonabon did. Like you mentioned, they've got really great macro play on the side of Mountain Home, and that's a pretty big hill for Bishop Kelly to climb.
It's more like a mountain. Not a hill, a mountain to climb. Mountain Home. Anyways, yes, you are absolutely
Mountain
correct.
Home. It makes
Lovely
sense.
dad puns aside, thank you guys so much for joining us for the League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series. I'm gonna get it before the end of the broadcast, I promise you, as Bishop Kelly takes on Mountain Home. As of right now, Mountain Home up 1 game in this best of 5. And again, globally, as we kind of recant what we saw before, you mentioned the macro play, but there were signs of life in that Bishop Kelly lineup. We saw the fight that inevitably turned into them walking into a bunch of Heimer turrets. He might have been far at that point as far as resources are concerned, but the overall was definitely there for Bishop Kelly.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, if they had been further ahead, if they hadn't been so far behind by that point when they started landing all of their big wombo combos, they had the ability to absolutely destroy Mountain Home. Like, let's not play games about this. Mountain Home was very, very squishy. They had the Alistar for the tank stats, and the only reason that Alistar even got away a couple of times was just because he had that gold advantage going in to cushion for the extra health and resistances that he needed.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you just have to pay attention to kind of how everything is going to unfold. I do think that Bishop Kelly, given, not such an insurmountable lead from minute 7 or 8, they definitely had an opportunity to turn that game around. But you also take a look at just the objectives alone. From the counter jungling early, is Gwen Wanabon the wild card for the side of Mountain Home, or is it just lane communication at that point?
Honestly, I think it was a lot of lane communication, especially up in that top lane. Between the Heimerdinger and the Renekton, they knew that the Renekton had a strong lane early, and they really capitalized on it. They punished the attempts from the Warwick to be able to come up and interrupt that. That's something that you can do as a jungler if you know that an opposing lane is losing and you're expecting the jungler to come up. You can really capitalize on those ganks by expecting the counter gank to come through, setting yourself up into stealth. And that's exactly what Gwenonamon did in those early games to really propel himself ahead. And because he had the Dark Harvest, when he got ahead, he got ahead.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where when you have the Dark Harvest, it's going to either fail or win either spectrum, like super hard one way or the other. I believe it was like 16-1 and like 8. I don't know. Pick a number up to 10 at that point.
I mean, he had a
so far
mid-high
ahead.
school stealer by the time the game was over.
Yeah. So, wait, a little bit of a miscommunication. They're from Nampa High. I feel absolutely terrible because we just did 30 minutes of screaming about a school that is not the right one. So thank you, Hungry Dragon. GG in that last one. So Nampa High versus Mountain Home? I'm not entirely sure. Either way, we're having fun here. The Idaho Army National Guard High School Series will continue here with game number 2 in just a little bit. But again, just a great game 1 there for Mountain Home.
Yeah, Mountain Home, Nampa High. Great game from both sides. You definitely had really strong strategies on both sides. Great team fights. We did see that overall it was the macro play, and that's something that you just kind of have to learn, especially in these team environments. It's very different from solo queue. So now we're going into game 2. It looks like the teams have swapped sides.
Yeah, and that will also change the overall setup here as far as picks and bans are concerned. 20-1. Heimerdinger's banned? Yes, no?
Honestly, I wouldn't bet it myself, but these teams might take it into consideration just because they might not know how to play around it. It is going to be banned away. The set, of course, also going to be returning as a ban. Just a very powerful champion that not everyone has quite figured out how to play around yet. Ash going to be taken away off the field. Lots of utility there as well. As well as that long range engage. 6 trying to prevent that. Lane taken off the table for a similar reason.
Yeah, I get no real surprises by anything that we have seen this far. But again, if you're running a jungle Heimer who's unorthodox? That's the word I'm going to use. A little unorthodox in the jungle. Imagine what you can do with something that's, dare I say, more effective.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking AP junglers, imagine what we could see out of, like, the Silas if they managed to get through the ban, or the Evelyn. Azir is going to be taken off the table. We did see that was incredibly powerful in the hands of that laner for Nampa High. Renekton also going to be the ban there. Very respect ban there. Don't want to let them have that early game advantage in the top lane. So we'll see what they pick for that top lane. There's still a lot of very powerful champions. Garen is still on the board, and I will never stop advocating for that champion.
Yep. You look like a Garen
never know.
fanboy. Like if there's like Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, and then Garen. You know, you would actually put Garen in that #1 slot, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, Garen every single time. It is going to be Poppy though, who is locked in for the side of Mountain Home there. Great champion for denying mobility abilities, so that's great for shutting down anything that Nampa High wants to do as far as running through them. Kane actually going to be picked up. I'm so used to mentally calling him Kanye West, just because I like to try and feel a little bit better about myself whenever I have to deal with him in game. Yorick is going to be the top lane pickup for Nampa High, so
I'm gonna let you finish, but we need to get into picks and bans phase #2.
Yes, yes, exactly. But alas, poor Yorick has been locked in. Most likely going into that top lane, has really great split pushing ability with his ultimate. Camille going to be the answer on the other side, and that's an interesting pick as far as I'm concerned. She does have that hook shot to be able to get out of Yorick's wall, so she does have the ability to evade a lot of his techniques and potentially even use his own wall to stun him, as well as the fact that you're going to get her passive shield. Yorick does not have a lot of AP damage. He's almost entirely AD based. You can deny him a lot from that. Vladimir going to be the final pickup for Mountain Home.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible we see this Camille in the jungle as opposed to a top lane like we've normally seen? And do we see this Poppy go, like, again, into like a support role? It's only a matter of like what we see next. But that Vladimir is not very telling as well. All three of these champions can be flexed into multiple different places. Some more than others, obviously, as we see Vel'Koz, the final pickup here in phase #1 for the side of Nampa High, if I am not mistaken. I love me some Vel'Koz. Nothing better than firing some lasers and watching the entire team turn it up.
Caitlyn going to be the ban away there for Nampa High, of course. Really great long-range champion, strong laning phase. You want to get that away from what's already a very strong laning phase from the side of Mountain Home. I don't want to give them any more advantages there now as Mountain Home selecting their next ban for their team, trying to figure out what they're going up against. A lot of damage shredding actually on the side of Nampa High already, and now we're going to see Jinx banned away.
Interesting, because I don't necessarily feel like the Jinx did an absurd amount of damage, if you will. So I'm curious about the ban there. You see Spicy Taco begging not to ban the Kai'Sa earlier in the chat, but they're going to remove that Caitlyn. So plenty of opportunities. Again, you've got things like Xayah that is still open. As far as other champions are concerned, you can run like a Lucian, a Senna. There's opportunities here. Again, Senna kind of removed recently with some changes, but I'm very, very open to see what they have. And there is going to be for the Pyke, though, again, we talked about steamrolling champions. The assassin base, I can't deal with this kind of individual. And Pyke is definitely one of those on the support side of things. So no surprise there, as we also did see that banned in game #1.
Yeah, and on top of that, Pyke brings a lot of attention to your game, blocked out of additional damage. It looks like we are missing a ban. I'm sure we'll have that fixed soon. But Varus is going to be the pickup for the side of Nampa High. So a lot of hybrid damage comes out of Varus. You either have the on-hit build, you have the lethality build, you could go for a critical strike build that I like to do with the Essence Reaver and the Ruinon's Hurricane, where you build up your stacks and then blow them up with your Q. Feels great overall. Great champion for locking down targets from a distance. It is going to be Aphelios on the other side, so we get to have some fun pretending we know what his guns are and what they do.
His guns are strong. That's all you need to know. He does a lot of damage. In late game, it will spread. Aphelios, how could I not think of the #1 picked banned champion of the last season? And Aphelios, they're going to grab the Alistar as well. A great pair there in the bottom side. The Galio going to be picked up again. I'm a little surprised at this one, considering how it functioned last game, but it is a very, very, very strong champion and could be one of the saving graces of this other side for Nampa.
Now, one thing that they could do is they could run the Galio into the mid lane there. At the very least, that would allow you to roam, to use the hero's entrance a bit more offensively and a bit more frequently than they were able to do previously as a support, because you can flex that Vel'Koz down there to cover. And Vel'Koz doesn't exactly lose a whole lot of damage by going support. Sure, he doesn't get as many items, but a lot of that gets made up for by his passive. On top of that, like, I think the Galio is a good pick because it gives you the tankiness that you don't have in this game, that you had on the Warwick, that you had on the Orin in the previous game. So this time you actually really do need just a little extra durability.
Yeah, and we'll see if that is what turns the table. Again, Mountain Home just looked absolutely primal and unstoppable in game number 1, as Nampa did show signs of life, but a 10k gold lead at about 15 to 20 minutes just proved to be too much for the side of Nampa, even though they were able to get the fights that they wanted. So again, another thing to pay attention to is just the overall macro of the game. Mountain Home showing that they have the ability to not only break the map in half, but in quarters if they so need to, making sure they get pretty much all of the objectives they wanted.
Yeah, and now we're going into this game, and it looks like it's going to be Kayn. I don't know what the opposing jungler is going to be. It could be the Camille, it could be the Poppy. Heck, at this point, for all I know, it's the Vladimir. So we will figure that out once we do get into game. But both teams setting themselves up. That macro play going to be very important. Thankfully, the Kayn doesn't really start popping off until he hits level 6. Or until he gets to that point where he can transform into his form, either Rost or Assassin, Shadow Assassin, I think is what they call it. Yeah. So not a very strong early game, which is something they'll have to remember. The Heimerdinger did have a much better early game than a Kayn would in that scenario. Did have that crowd control and the damage from the turrets. So maybe they're going to have to watch out. Maybe they're going to have a little less pressure in that early game, which will be great because it means that they won't snowball so far ahead of Nampa High.
Well, that was one of the things, too, that I was keeping an eye on, is that whenever I see a Poppy, I always try to keep track of how many dashes and movement abilities does that Poppy have to stop, basically. You know, how many of my enemies are going to have that opportunity to jump in. Well, Kayn's ultimate alone completely ignores that, and it's a huge piece of that kit. So wherever this Poppy is, this Kayn will be able to break the mold more than, say, a Lee Sin using his wave or a Sonic Wave to jump in kind of thing. You can see that happening. With a Kayn, it's instant. I'm on you. Here we go. Chances are they're even going to burn the shield in that instance, kind of a panic situation, allowing for him to then move around post-exit. So curious to see the maneuverability of this Kayn based on the lockdown on the other side.
Now, one thing to remember is that Keeper's Verdict does in fact stop the dash, Kayn's normal dash on his Q.
Correct.
So that will make it a lot more difficult for him to get in onto key targets if he has to commit his ultimate to that Poppy. I'm not sure if he wants to go Shadow Assassin or the Ross Bruiser form. Personally, I like the Bruiser form better, a little more tank stats, a little more crowd control. And especially going to be useful against something like that Poppy. Additional health damage is also useful against the Vladimir, so a lot of things to consider here with this champion.
Yeah, and again, we will see how it breaks down here in game number 2, a best-of-5 series, as Mountain Home up 1 over Nampa High, moving on here into the next round. And again, these are high school individuals who could be the next players you're seeing in CLOL, or maybe even the LCS. You never know at this point. But very, very interested and very, very stoked to be here, especially with you, Lovely, as we take a look at the overall team setup. Any kind of interesting tidbits you can find or pick out from these two teams?
As far as their team setup goes, I'm really interested to see, in particular, what these bot lanes are going to do to each other. We did see the Alistar being used to pretty devastating effect against this Galio. I do think it looks like it's probably going to be the Galio bot lane again. I would rather send it mid. But you have so much to interrupt. You can use the headbutt to cancel out the taunt. You can use the headbutt or the knockoff. knock up to deal with the ultimate as long as you have vision of it. You can cut that off completely, and of course, just having a really durable tank champion with you in that lane. Both of these champions are going to be very scary once they hit level 3. So I think that level 3 power spike on both sides is something that we're going to have to watch out for in that bottom lane.
Hey, we also have to watch out for Aphelios, one of the most balanced champions I've ever had the pleasure of playing against in my entire life. For some reason, I can't get him to do what everybody does to me, as far as in-game and in-lane is concerned. But we have seen Aphelii just absolutely go peanut butter and banana sandwich crazy on not only like lower tier teams, but professional tier teams. It does require a certain amount of resource, and that would come from the bottom side that you were just talking about.
Yeah, they're going to have to really set themselves up for late game before Aphelios can really carry. We do see a bit of a cheeky invade here from Mountain Home onto Nampa High as they sneak into the jungle here as we're getting into game 1. Oh, looks like the hookshot does come out. Does find Thesaurus there. Galio goes in, but he only has the Justice Punch, not able to follow up. Aftershock Burn, they do get some damage off on both sides, but that's half the health on an AD carry for almost nothing scattered across the side of Mountain Home.
So remember how we were like, man, it'd be really unfortunate if this Aphelios got out of control. Well, it's going to be a nice little start there for the side of Mountain Home as they are able to join that bottom lane with pressure and health advantage. Dark Heavenly Wolf, though, does need to be careful as there are 3 members here from the side of Nampa High, as it looks like they are going to try to steal this blue buff here. But the rest of Mountain Home is there looking for the Blast Cone. This could be a very cheeky steal. Oh no, X-Ray is not there. He's actually pushed out the other way, but they're just looking to get, yes, they find first blood there, and King is going to fall, meaning 0 jungle pressure, and right now Mountain Home looking good, and it's not even 2 minutes in.
Yeah, I think what the goal there with the Poppy wasn't to try and pick a fight, it was just to delay them, to create pressure there, and give him time for his team to come in and take over there, picking up that first elimination in that early game fight. Now Max Lives really low as a result of that fight as Dark Heavenly Wolf has so much damage. Yorick now forced to burn a potion just to keep himself alive.
Yeah, that's always one of the unfortunate sides where, Guanabon gonna be jumping in once again. Dark Heavenly Wolf just needs to show up. Just kidding, let's burn the flash because why not? Guanabon gonna pick that one up. That is what we are used to seeing. Guanabon already on a tear, been responsible for 2 kills, 1 he walked away with. Only 3 minutes in, and that is disgusting. As Dark Heavenly Wolf is able to fight Max Lives, even though he TPs back into lane, he fears no man, living or undead.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful when you're up against the Poppy. You have to keep a constant eye on exactly where all of the walls are. You're gonna have a real difficult time if Poppy slams you around. Max Lives now has full control over this setup here. Max Lives forced to back away. Buckler not. Oh, actually, just barely manages to tick him off. I think it was minion damage there. Just barely finishing him off.
Well, it feels bad, man, but VIP to that minion right there, helping Mountain Home secure their 3rd of this game in just under 4 minutes. And Dark Heavenly Wolf is willing to face the opposing jungle under their tower. Again, Wanabon is going to hook shot in, nothing doing, as Void Potato is going to take a sizable amount of damage, not only from the tower, but the haste of Nampa High.
Yeah, good attempt by Mountain Home there to try and take advantage of their level 3 power spike, but not quite able to get it. Nampa High is now level 3, so they can potentially match them back if they try to do that engage again. So overall, good retreat, good warding there by Nampa High to catch them out, not get caught out, so great play there. Unfortunately though, Mountain Home still does have the advantage, 3-0 in terms of elimination, but that Poppy hasn't actually picked up a lot of farm.
The fancy feet there on the Vladimir, very, very nice. Using the minions not only to jump in, but to get away there. As it looks like X-Ray, as I start thinking of his phrases, is going to get dropped on here. Camille is going to try to get there in time. In comes the hookshot, is able to push out the Kane. X-Ray now able to turn back and do some serious damage. Hungry Dragon going to flash. A smite to save his life is going to be denied as X-Ray was jumped on 1v2 and with help from the Camille, able to secure at least one. Meanwhile, on the top side, the fight has broken out. Dark Heavenly Wolf is going to fight the minions under his own tower, and I'm talking the ones from that Yorick, not necessarily the ones he's used to, dealing a sizable amount of damage as he goes through, but Mountain Home comes out with the advantage despite all of the pressure throughout the match.
Yeah, York's a bit of a lane boy, but now in the bottom lane, we do see the ultimate come out from Paris. Here comes Mananabon to try to capitalize, is able to find Tyrannosaurus with the hook shot. They are going to get that elimination for themselves. And now that's 2-0-2 on this Camille.
The patience on that hook shot. You always want to just jump and jump, but he takes a half second, puts himself at pretty much a 90-degree angle. See, there is again able to jump there in on the cane. Dark Heavenly Wolf goes head-to-head with Max Lives. Looking very bleak, is not able to get the kill. Max Live picks that one up, feeling pretty good about that. As the fight in the jungle goes to Gwen Wanabon, are we really that surprised? He has been all over the place and has dictated the tempo, not only in game number 1, but does so again here in game number 2. The game's going to come down, a teleport in from Dark Heavenly Wolf. Max Lives just cannot deal with any of this. A lot of damage coming down. Dark Heavenly Wolf teleports in and picks up one in the low zone.
Yeah, that top lane is starting to get really intense. Both champions have these huge advantages in one way or the other. Really, Yorick has this great lane advantage over the Poppy, can put so much pressure, especially if he just farms, he gets his minions up and then tries to fight within those windows of power. But if Poppy manages to find him against a wall, even worse, if Poppy manages to find him against one of his own walls, things can get really dangerous.
And again, we will see what happens. This one already snowballing out of control. In comes the hook shot. A flash is going to be burned. You're going to be okay with that. Gwen Wanabon going to be hit by the Q there, but able to waltz their way out of that one. As we see a lagging boss fight now. 2v1 on the bottom side. Alistair backed up to pick up, well, just a little bit of extra movement speed there. So they're going to be able to move around, check objective, find ways to continue to build on this lead. As when Wanabon says, hey, if you just take out the opposing jungle because you're so far ahead, that's a great way to find resource, but instead is going to peel out, able to dodge the Q there from the Vel'Koz. Meanwhile, on the top side, Max Lives just says a little, hey, how are you? Have you met the Mist?
Yeah, the Maiden of the Mist is now up there with Yorick. It gives him so much pressure. If he wants to, he can bring it with him to get an extra advantage in fights, or he can just send it down to lane to push towers for him. It's a really great tool. One of the reasons why Yorick is one of the best split pushers in the game.
Yeah, and as look, you see all of these cautionary pings coming out. Gwen Wanabon is actually going to jump in. He's schooled at red, if I'm not mistaken. Hashtag Ultimatum comes out. Hookshot, he's just looking for one. He's not going to be able to find it, as it takes 3 members plus the Maiden to drop him there in the opposing jungle. Dark Heavenly Wolf now trying to peel out of here, walking right over a ward, but Max Lives knows that he is able to fight this if he so chooses. The jungler is now, if there was ever a time, it's now, but in jumps Dark Heavenly Wolf, and through the walls themselves, as Doc is going to continue to put out damage, but he turned in himself as Void Potatoes is taking shot after shot, but the Chakram there from the Aphelios dealing monumental damage on the bottom side. In jumps X-Ray, the blood pool comes out. That's going to be a cue to follow, and there were 2 members from Nampa High. Now only 1 remains until Vel'Koz shows up here from the mid lane, burns the ultimate, not a whole lot of damage, and the vision even going to be denied from a pink ward sitting right there in the river.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there. Cameron's not really able to dodge up. There we go. Sees the shield of Duran onto 2 members. Void Potato's incredibly low, but he backs off. Lagging boss fight picks up Doc. And now they're on to Tyrannosaurus. Double kill. Great play overall for Mountain Home.
Yeah, it took a little bit longer than you would have anticipated, but it looks like Mountain Home picking up yet another one there. 10-2 and under 10 minutes. That's more than a kill a minute if you really get down to the nitty-gritty of those numbers. And right now, the KDs are stellar. You have Vladimir as well as Aphelios, who have not passed in any way, shape, or form, and as well as your Alotar. So bottom lane looking great, mid lane looking great, as well as your jungler, who's 3-1-3. responsible for, again, 6 out of those 10, 60% kill participation at this point.
He might be getting a little big for his britches, though, as 3 members now of Nampa High come in. He does manage to get the buff, but he flubs the hook shot. Is going to try and walk away. Looks like he's going to get away. We're having a bit of a camera issue here, which I'm sure will be fixed shortly.
Nice.
As the team starts to gather around the Dragon Pit, here's the fight. Hungry Dragon is going out to Guanabon. He flashes out. Just barely has enough health left to stay alive through that fight. But the question is, what are they going to do about that Dragon now that they forced the jungler away? Meanwhile, Max Lives in that top lane, Maiden of the Mist, is going to help him continue to put the pressure down here. Dark Heavenly Wolf, though, is able to walk away with his life. There's some pressure being exerted by X-Ray and legging the boss fight here around the Dragon Pit. I don't think they're going to be much of anything unless a miracle happens. There's no steal. Lockdown onto X-Ray. Doesn't manage to come into the pool, though. Legging boss fight picks up an elimination. Things are going well. Guanabon is here and alive. Picks up the Dragon. That was the miracle they needed. And now Camrock in an unfortunate situation. Headbutt actually saves him from the hook shot, but it's too little, too late. Void Potatoes is the one who picks up the kill. Legging boss fight finds side Restoris in the jungle. He's going to pick up that elimination for himself.
Huh, is the only thing I can say. Max Lives had a teleport advantage there. He could have come helped out with the dragon fight, and there's nothing that Dark Heavenly Wolf could have done. But instead, Mountain Home collapses, even with a couple of oopsie mistakes, are able to not only get the dragon, but a handful of kills in the process, as we see that gold lead now teetering towards the 6,000 mark. You're Nampa High, you gotta find a leg to stand on right now. It's not objectives, it's not your lane. Right now, your jungle presence is virtually non-existent. How does Nampa High bounce back from this? Get another couple of fights like they did last game?
I think not just picking up good fights, but they really need to get their jungler going. Guanabon has been tearing through them. As we do see Max Lives getting collapsed on Guanabon with Wolf there. Two of them do have the lockdown. Hextech ultimatum comes through. Meanwhile, Extra taking a lot of damage from Camrock here. Is able to turn it back around. Destruction Wave comes out. There's the shutdown, though. Looks like a little help from it as top and jungle do meet. Max Lives is just barely having enough health to survive with the Q. Is going to go down to the buckler, and that may give Guanabon enough health to turn this fight around. Hungry Dragon takes so much. Look at the damage he's getting out of that press the attack rune.
Oh my god, oh my god. Like, Mountain Home, not that they're like playing with their food, but they just have these matchups so well coordinated. The fact that you're getting chased down at less than 200, sorry, we got a fight here. It looks like Dark Heavenly Wolf going to be 1v1. JK, here comes the jungle, over the wall, that hook shot is beautiful. Here comes that teleport we were talking about, finally uses it to get back into lane. Guanabon should be able to jump over that wall, is able to do so, but Max Lives is not done smashing this top side. Guanabon needs some help, they're looking to possibly trade it, but nope, instead Max Lives lands the damage and blows his way back to the tower. Bring some friends too.
More importantly, he does have the Maiden of the Mist up there, so that means he gets some additional ghosts. Which means he's gonna shove this lane out. They do have the teleport from the Poppy there, but committing it to try and save that top lane and to try and save the tower place means they won't have it for fights later in the game. So, some definite potential pressure here as Hungry Dragon tries to find X-Ray out. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do much there.
That's so frustrating as a jungle when you try to go in on a Vladimir and he just pulls out of the way, hits you with the Q, you hope that he doesn't hit you with the rest of his damage, and you survive. And so, again, great move there from X-Ray to recognize that game.
Yeah, here's the bottom lane. We can see engaged with the headbutt pulverized. Looks like neither team is going to be able to walk away with that advantage.
Yeah, Ignite burned as well as the flash there from the side of the Galio, as it looks like turret plating has finally fallen. This does not feel like a game that has already been played for 14 minutes. Mountain Home has been absolutely relentless, and Nampa High has been doing everything they can to try to fight back, but right now Mountain Home is just absolutely rolling everything Limp Bizkit style.
We do see that Nampa High has improved significantly from the last game. They're not conceding these fights. They're striking back where they can. Max Lives in particular has been doing fantastic, holding up against Dark Heavenly Wolf in this top lane. It looks like, unfortunately, Hungry Dragon once more going to be caught out in his own jungle. Void Potatoes takes the bad elimination, but Max Life continues to fight. But there's a team fight going on. There's the lockdown. Hextech Ultimatum comes through. There's the knockup. They do interrupt the hero's entrance once more. 2 more, 3 more kills going to go over.
Well, that is a thing, and that is what happened. They split the aggro and the aggression to top 3 bottom, and they will be heavily rewarded. Not only picking up the blue, but more than likely a tower or 2. Did not mean for that to rhyme, but it just so happened.
And Guanabon might have been found Hungry Dragon. Hungry Dragon thought he had a pick, but unfortunately ended up getting picked in response. Hasn't even hit his transformation yet at this point, so really in a rough spot. X-Ray does lose half of his health, but he's a Vladimir. He'll Q a few times and heal that right back up.
Oh, it hurt my blood. Oh, I get more blood, I guess. But so it looks like X-Ray, again, just doing a great job with the fancy feet. And this is a great gank here. It's also set up the hook shot, started by the pulverize as well as the headbutt. It is going to give them the opening that they have been looking for. You know, it just keeps collapsing on the bot tower. You might as well. In comes the hook shot. The stun's gonna be there, and a ton of damage coming out. Wanabon once again just showing the unbelievable prowess there in the jungle. Gonna get the barrier. Here is X-Ray. The laser comes out as well as the pool. That's gonna do a lot of damage. The Q to follow just schmelts him there in the mid lane as well. But hey, you got a Rift Herald in the top. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, now we are going to drop that up top lane. So, looks like he's going for the Trinity Force build, which is really great for taking towers, but not even taking your first tower as the enemy is currently going onto your inhibitor. Maybe not the best call here as Tyrannosaurus takes a big chunk. Max Live now doesn't have the health to continue fighting. Dark Heavenly Wolf is going to flash and follow up to get the elimination for himself. As that inhibitor goes down, there's the engagement. The hook shot onto the back line. Guanabon is monstrous. Hextech Ultimatum just insane there. They are going to get away. No, Legging Cloudspite still wants to battle and looks like he is going to find 2. He's going to find 2 eliminations for himself. Guanabon picks up the 3rd, and that's the 8th.
Is that, what? Is that a trick? Is it the triple?
It wasn't a triple kill, but we'll give him the hat trick. Yeah, that's an ace.
It is what it is, man.
When you get like playing cards, they all need to be the ace of spades.
I just don't. Nampa High again showing that they can fight, but again with this Aphelios just dealing so much damage. Has not died yet. 7-0-6, and with a bottom lane support to follow, it's just absolutely ridiculous, unrelenting. As Poppy is gonna try to get out of here. Dark Heavenly Wolf as well as Max Lives have been going back and forth so much in the last 17 minutes. Gonna push him into the wall. The damage is coming out. How much will that Maiden help? In comes the hero's entrance as well as the hook shot. What a great read there, as it looks like Doc is gonna be dropped here. Will they be able to? No, Dark Heavenly Wolf survives there, even with an extra amount of damage there. They're going to pull through, and you get the Remus. Okay.
Now, unfortunately, really low health bars there. Actually uses Warwick's wall to hookshot himself over, get the stun. So great play there by Guanabon, knowing his champion and what Camille's capable of. Hungry Dragon trying to do something, but that's a Vladimir. It's really, really hard to do anything to him. Oh, but they do have a multiple man advantage. They did force the flash. There's the chemo plague. Goes in on X-Ray. They actually do shut him down. The gold goes over to Camrock. Now we see 2 members of Nampa High trying to find their way in. Void Potatoes and Legging boss fight. Looking to do something to Nampa High, but not able to capitalize on it. So it looks like people are going to back away and we'll reset for the next fight. Although, never mind, Guanabon finds out Hungry Dragon. There's the hook shot over the wall. You're not getting away from that, buddy.
That has just been the story. Game 1, Game 2, a flash expended here as Mountain Home will push here on the mid. And I guarantee you they'll be able to find an inhibitor here if they so choose. Just need to wait for those minions to show back up. But again, 33-5, not even 20 minutes into this game, and Mountain Home is looking very much like they did in game number 1.
Looks like Guanabon coming onto the back line. Finds Tyrannosaurus, but it is locked away. But there's multiple members here. Dark Heavenly Wolf is unstoppable now as he picks up the elimination. The Hextech Ultimatum was burned, and now Dark Heavenly Wolf is on the wrong side of the line here. The line of towers. He's able to keep himself alive with his passive, but is taking a lot of damage. Multiple members almost takes out the Vel'Koz, but Audubon, though, is in the back line with him. Picks up an elimination. Dark Heavenly Wolf goes low. They are able to pick up not able to pick up the Poppy. Max Lives now is going to be sacrificed, and all the members go down. Triple kill. There's only a Varus left alive, and he is going to be very hard pressed to defend his base.
Apparently the camera's been on me the entire time as I have had my hand ripping out my hair with just how crazy these plays have been. What looked like an absolutely devastating situation for the Poppy turns into a game-ending fight. The BM teleport just fails, as it looks like Mountain Home will pick up game number 2, pushing this to match point. My hair's all messed.
Once again, like, they really didn't have the early game control on the side of Nampa. What they needed a champion that was going to push them ahead early on in the game. And while they did have that Yorick, who has a very strong lane, there was those early invades from the side of Boise High that really put them far behind in those scenarios. And Kane, of course, once he starts falling behind, assassins, as a rule, don't really come back very easily. I don't think we actually saw Kane transform during the course of that game, if you can correct me on that.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to. It was like I said, once the 14-minute mark hit, there had been so much action. I didn't realize that plates hadn't even dropped yet. Like Mountain Home, sure they had an early invade, but like it's the entire game. Guanabon right now is on an absolute rampage. Anything in their path, they're eviscerating, and I don't see any signs of that slowing down as we move into game number 3.
Yeah, at this point, I think you want to try and do something like a bait and switch. Try and bait him onto a champion that you feel really confident against. But right now, it looks like we are going to jump to a short break. So all of you folks at home, go ahead, hop into your bathrooms, get yourself all your snacks ready to go for it. Yeah.
Why'd you have to tell him I gotta use the bathroom, Lovely?
Everyone's got to use the bathroom. It's a fact of life.
Well, we will be right back with
bathroom.
game number 3 here of the League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series. Don't you go anywhere. We've got a possible match point next.
Since 2016, universities have been adding varsity esports, competitive intercollegiate video game teams, with nearly 100 colleges and universities now with official programs. Esports is fast becoming the new college sport. But with any dramatic change comes criticism. How could institutions of higher learning promote something so trivial? But when you look a little closer, esports demonstrates, just like other sports, that it's a pathway to something more.
There's several misconceptions when it comes to esports and its place on the university campus. The first and foremost is that people would say it's not a valuable learning activity. It's not a place where people can learn new job-related skills or maybe get a good industry feel for what's happening outside the university environment. And that's just simply not the case. And all evidence points otherwise. There are so many new jobs. The industry is absolutely booming. People are looking for students that are graduating with experience in things like streaming and technologies, marketing, the whole business side, sponsorships. There's the whole graphics and coding component that involved in esports and other video game type of activities that are really important in just terms of jobs and industry.
And on their way to those careers, students who attend schools with varsity esports programs can compete for their university. But in order to be eligible, students have to meet the same high academic standards as other student athletes.
You have to maintain a certain GPA. You shouldn't be playing constantly. You should have like a certain time frame and like practice for like 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. You shouldn't be just like overwhelming yourself.
Care about your grades first and foremost. As Dr. Haskell said, he cares about our grades first because we came to college to get an education, to get a degree, and then we also get to do what we love and play esports.
Athletics and other university-sanctioned activities bind students together with purpose, a chance to be part of something bigger than yourself, where we learn to work hard, play a role, lose with dignity, win with honor. All for our school. This is why we play.
Our backs against the wall. It seems impossible, but there's nobody else on by my side, standing next to take this fight through the light.
Well, hello and welcome back to the League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series. I am Adam Chizu McGuire. I've got Daniel Glovely Clock to my right? Yes, technically my right. And we have a match point scenario as it looks like Mountain Home is up 2 games against Nampa High. Again, you see that I have my Rally Ramus cap on here, Glovely. This is in hopes that Nampa can find the flaw and exploit it so we can see a game number 4. How does that come about, and what have you seen that maybe Nampa can do to move forward and push this into later games?
I think a lot of it is going to come down to that early game, especially in that jungle. They were having so much trouble getting their jungler ahead. We saw the Warwick got shut down. We saw the Kayn get shut down. You need to bring out a champion who's going to have that early game pressure, who's going to have that immediate presence on the map. Maybe something like Jarvan IV, very powerful champion. We've seen Jin Zhao be very useful. I don't know what they have in these high schooler champion pools, but something like that, something that can be immediately like scary to try and invade on, would be ideal.
Right, and so again, you said you've played this for a little while. What was your champion in high school? Well, it's Garen. It's got to be Garen, right?
I wasn't actually a top lane player back when I first started the game. I played support. I played Soraka, Sona, picked up Leona. Actually played some mid, so Veigar, Heimerdinger, Orianna. It wasn't until like I started realizing I really hated dying in lane. That I started picking up tankier champions, and I found Garen and, just fell in love.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat. I'm a support main. Season 3 was like the only climb I ever did. It was Leona, it was Thresh, and then my infamous pocket pick of Zac Top, because I was not good at jungle. I can't handle it mentally, because it's always the jungler's fault. Although, like, Xin Zhao was one of my first ones, and I'll never forget, like, my first tier 3 game, diving under tower before minions are there, because you're Xin Zhao. You dive on guys, right? That's what you do. And being like, this game's dumb. 1. I can't dive under the tower. This is dumb. As I'm face checking a Mordekaiser, and so those were the days. So it's cool. I kind of forgot that you were a support individual back in the day. So very interested to see what these new generation of players have, especially considering the game is such a different place now.
Yeah, I mean, back then, Mordekaiser was a completely different champion. He would get a ghost when he eliminated you. Later on, he could, like, pick up a dragon and carry that into lane with him. Nowadays, he like drags you into the Shadow Realm, and if he eliminates you there, then he just, takes your stats with him instead of taking an extra buddy.
That makes sense. Of course, but again, a big shout out to everybody joining us today for this high school series. Again, Mountain Home up 2-0 over Nampa High School. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Of course, in the Twitch chat as well. Don't forget to throw a subscription up there, especially if you got that Amazon Prime. And yes, Heavenly Wolf, you should pick Rammus because of the hat. You gotta even the game somehow, but I love Rammus personally.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's okay. Lovely, no!
Okay.
It's one of those things. Apparently the Rammus and Sona lore is a thing. Like, Sona can't talk, so Rammus is her, like, bodyguard. And he can only say one word, and that's why they're best friends, because it's ironic, because neither one of them can... No?
I'm pretty sure that's not canon.
That's canon, I'm telling you, dude.
Looks like we're going to get into Pixie Bandits. If that's canon, then Sona X Draven fanfiction gets to be canon as well. So here we are, going into Picks and Bans. Nampa High is going to have the first ban of the game, and as a result, first pick. So what champions do we expect to see? We saw that there was a terrifying Heimerdinger. They could allow the Silas through if they feel like they can handle that. The Camille was absolutely devastating, so unless they've got a counter pick...
Hey, you should let that Aphelios through again.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
Let Aphelios through. Again, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say 90% pick ban rate over the last season. There was a little bit where Senna, was the contest, and then Aphelios was the other side, and vice versa. Kind of like how you see some of these lanes set up. And the Alistar going to be the first removal there. I'm a little surprised, but not entirely, because that cow can be mad sometimes.
Yeah, and I think they did a great job using him. The set ban going to be taken away from the side of Nampa High. They apparently really like that set over in Nampa High, up in that top lane. Given that we've seen the Yorick, which is another juggernaut, very similar sort of play style, not too surprising there. Honestly, if you were playing into the bot lane, you could have gone Garen and still had a juggernaut. So my jokes aside, Heimerdinger is going to be banned away there. By Nampa High, Ash going to be the response ban. We haven't seen that champion get through at all from either team, actually. So maybe just trying to keep that really strong, engaged champion out of the hands of the AD carry. As Aphelios is going to be the last ban. That was probably a very smart move, but there are still a lot of very powerful picks up on the table.
Yeah, not that, Nampa really needed to kind of do something, but the Aphelios is something you do not want to go up against again, especially seeing how it worked out in that last round. Again, I can't tell you the last time I've seen a Heimer ban. I feel like I'm back in Season 4. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm jumping back in time, as Gallia will be the final ban here. As we jump into the first picks, who do you put priority on? The Camille is open, who we just saw everybody smash. Oh, but Rakan as a first pick? That's a little interesting, quite spicy.
It could be that because that Gallia was taken away, they wanted to make sure that their support got something that they would be comfortable on. It doesn't mean Xayah is coming, because Rakan is still a very solid, engaged support on his own, and actually does have a favorable matchup into the Alistar if that wasn't banned away. So they do have quite a lot of flexibility with that pick in terms of their ability to use it, but it's definitely going to be in that support role. Now, pickup is going to be here for Mountain High. Mountain Home. We'll see exactly what champion they're going to sort through. They have quite a few options that they've shown us over the course of these games.
And in the infamous words of Scarlet Chemist in the chat, it's only a game. Why you have to be mad? I don't think anyone's mad here. Just looking for a way to claw their way back in, and I really hope they are capable of doing so. As, again, the Phelios is off. You've got the Rakan on the table. I'm interested to see what that counter is going to be. You could run, like, I don't know, a Thresh, a Leona to just kind of... I love when a Rakan jumps in on me and I can just queue as a Leona. It's like, cool, you're not going anywhere either. And then you can Zenith back in on him if you wish to continue that aggression. Thresh, like a Blitzcrank, Nautilus. I think I just like people with hooks. I think I just realized that.
Yeah, I think that might be something you should consider. Maybe you should pick up Pyke.
Man,
same idea,
but like,
a Moo.
Pyke is too assassin. He's too cool for me. I have to run like the Braum.
Yeah.
Or the, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not
Assassin Braum.
Awesome. Right, Assassin Braum, Wits End Braum, running in the mid lane, Season 4.
I don't see why not. I mean, we saw Jungle Heimerdinger today. At this point, I'm ready to accept just about anything can be the meta. And at the high school level, just about anything can. And that is why you guys should be picking Garen. Garen. Come on, people.
That's one of those things, Glovely, that, like, no matter what game I'm playing, if a Garen drops, I just assume it's you, even if it doesn't have your nameplate on there. I'm like, oh, I'm up against Glovely. I'm going to lose as well. Here we go. But, you know, an 80, seeing the chat right now, 80 Thresh with Morg support. That's spicy. I love that. I have a big heart for Organa as well as Janna. As it looks like Swain is going to be locked in here for the side of Mountain Home. You want to talk about one of those super annoying champions as far as the game continuing on way longer than it needs to? This guy is capable of doing it. And there he is!
Oh! I could talk your ear off for hours about why this is my favorite champion, but I'm just happy to see he's here.
I need to refresh, so you go ahead.
So one thing I do want to mention is that Garen can be played as a jungler. He does have the potential to do that. I typically run like Predator Sorcery on him to do that. Xayah is going to be the lock-in on the side of Nampa High, so they are going to get the Lovers duo there in that bot lane. But I'm trying really hard not to focus on Mountain Home's potential top lane jungle or mid, because Garen can go a lot of different places. It can go bot lane if they pick up the Yuumi.
Spicy Taco literally says, it's just for you, Glovely, so they heard you, and they're just going to appeal the casters. They're looking for the casters curse, because now they're going to just throw the next 3 games, because they're trying to appeal to us. But one of my favorite champions, regardless of lane, Lux, going to be dropped in there. The old Rainbow Cambo, if you will. There's nothing better than the shoot to whoop into a bazillion damage if you land her combo just right. The utility that she provides, whether it's in lane or at objectives, is unbelievably nice, as well as Orin's going to be picked up. Another unbelievably tanky champion with the ability to deal really raw damage.
Not to mention the ability to flex into a lot of positions. In our time at Boise State, we've seen him go top lane, we've seen him go mid, we've seen him go support, we've seen him go jungle. The only thing we haven't seen him play, AD carry, and I don't think Mountain Home is that confident in themselves. That being said, we had Jungle Heimerdinger, so caution to the wind, guys. Yorick is
We
going to be
don't
the
know.
man.
Oh man, but Yorick is going to be banned number 1 on the side of Mountain Home, as they are still looking for what is feasibly a top laner and a jungle on the side of Nampa.
All right, so one more man there. There we go. Caitlyn is going to be the one to go through. Very powerful early game in that bottom lane, able to poke out the Xayah very easily because of that range disadvantage. So, apparently, Spicy Taco there in the chat mentioning, yeah, his Kate's been banned for the 3rd time in a row. It's a bit unfortunate. Meanwhile, Kane going to be the ban on the other side. Bit of a surprising choice to me there, considering very well in the previous game. Maybe just trying to make him uncomfortable by taking away some of his more comfortable picks. But still,
kind of forcing
more
him
junglers
into that
available.
area, right? Like you were saying, kind of removing that blanket, if you will, the safety net. And Yasuo, the final removal here, whether you want him on your team or not on the other. It's one of those very, as I like to say, dice roll champions. It goes one of a handful of ways, and if you can get to a certain point, it's great. If you can't, it's bad. Much like, again, I'm surprised we're seeing that Kane ban, because as you mentioned, I don't think we saw him change in the last game. Like, he didn't pick. So, I'm not sure what they saw there as far as a reason to ban that out. Like you said, I'm going to go with the more comfort thing, as Kaisa is going to be the ADC lock-in, who we've seen on the side of Mountain Home.
Yeah, Kaisa, really powerful champion, especially when paired up with someone who has some crowd control. You can do that through the orange, but be the support pick there. Cho'Gath actually being locked in on the side of Nampa High. Recently got a puff on the patch that makes it more powerful in the top lane, additional damage when you ring up that powerful spike early. Rek'Sai as well. Rai is going to be the final pickup for Mountain Home, so that hyper-scaling mid laner.
Yeah, very interested to see what is going to be the sway here on either side. As you mentioned, the buff there on the side of Nampa should definitely help out. But right now, Nampa High is fighting for their lives, as Mountain Home is got them at match point right now in this best of 5 series, the League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Twitch or wherever you may be watching, as we are going to jump into this game. So Glovely, one of the things that I love to see is that the side of Mountain Home is beefy. They are huge champions all throughout the lanes, no matter where they flex. How does Nampa work their way around this? Sure, they have some tanks. You've got the Rek'Sai and the Cho'Gath, but that is a big rock, basically, to get yourself around.
That means that it's got to come out of the AD carry, and Xayah, unfortunately, isn't really a champion who likes to run Blade of the Ruined King. She typically likes to go Essence Reaver and then build into a crit style build, but you could potentially build that early to give her additional power to shred through those tanks. You'll definitely be looking for different ways to get through that super beefy and you've got. And even the Swain is a fairly buff champion once he starts building up that, those additional health items on top of his AP. A lot of the stuff he likes has that durability built into it.
Yeah, and it's going to... It's one of those things right now where I want to try to break down the game, like what is supposed to happen, but Mountain Home has shown time and time again, no disrespect to Nampa, that it doesn't matter what they're playing. They've got great mechanics and great macro awareness that could make up for any kind of statistical difference, whether it's the kill death, whether it's the CS. They as a team just look more solid, and that reflects from the 2-0 lead they have right now.
Right, and now they've got themselves a really good champion pool that they are going with. I will talk your ear off about how good Garen is, even if nobody believes me. But looking on the other side, they also have a very solid composition. Cho'Gath, of course, scales infinitely, so the longer the game goes on, the more powerful that Cho'Gath will be. Rek'Sai is a great early game champion who puts a lot of pressure on the map, even as early as level 1 or 2, with those knockups, with the ability to follow up on her own damage, of course, at level 6. to hunt people down from a distance. And on top of that, you give yourself a lot of vision that might have been lacking in previous games to warn you when the opponent is trying to invade you, when they're about to jump on top of you. So that might be the idea behind the Rek'Sai pick, just for that safer early game.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised if, once again, we see Mountain Home with the early invade. The way that their champions kind of set up, especially having a Swain in what I'm going to assume... No, Ryze is in the mid lane. But having, Swain to be able to pull individuals back in, the slow from the Ryze, as well as all of the other opportunities they have, they do have a fairly strong level 1 comparatively.
Yeah, not to mention, of course, if you do catch multiple members, Garen likes to take judgment at level 1, so you could have some armor shred going through the entirety of your team over the course of that fight.
Spin to win, baby. That's probably you're so
Spin
excited
to win.
right now.
Oh,
You're
I am so
unbelievably
excited. I
happy.
am vibrating in my seat.
I need you to
not to
scream
mention-
Demacia every time there's an ult. Like, if I'm in the middle of a horse race, you scream Demacia from here on out. Deal?
Okay, deal. You got it. Every time I see it.
Demacia!
Demacia!
The
good old
gauntlet
days
has
of
been
jumping
thrown,
out of a
man.
bush and like dropping your opponent from 100 to 0.
Right.
So
Did you ever do like the
Good.
five potion Garen? You just buy a bunch of potions and head in the lane.
yeah, I've done that. I've done the boots and pots. I find nowadays Doran's blade or Doran's shield is generally the better option, but
Right.
cloth and pots was a thing for quite a while, and as far as I'm concerned, in certain lanes, it's still viable.
It's still good to go. So, again, I'm really hoping that they can play this Garen in a way that makes you proud, Glovely. I think the fact that they're already playing it has you proud, but, I want to make sure we get a handful of Demacias out there again, as we have Nampa High versus Mountain Home. Any ideas as how you see this unfolding? Does Nampa fight their way back and see a game number 4, or is this game set match in favor of Mountain Home?
I think that Nampa High needs to stall. They need to slow things down, because every time Mountain Home got ahead in the early game, they just took that lead and they snowballed. If you're able to slow them down, if you're able to get to the point where you have your big power spikes and your opponents aren't that far ahead, if they even are far ahead at all, I think that Nampa High in the end had some much better team fights going into Mountain Home. But that being said, I do have a little bit of bias toward Mountain Home's lineup.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's the lineup and not just the point spread at this point. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Nampa High, if there is a game, it's going to be this one. Watching a Cho'Gath instantly gobble up your tankiest members is always a satisfying vibe. But as you said, Glovely, they have to get there. And we will see as we head here into the Rift. But it looks like Nampa High going to be taking it real easy, as Mountain Home not going to be heading in as early as I thought. They're also willing to let this kind of drag on for a moment.
So one
That's
thing
a
that I
Garen
do
jungle.
want to notice, yeah, not only is that Garen jungle, it looks like he's running a Hail of Blades, which, not my personal pick for Garen, if I'm being completely honest. Yes, you do get like multiple hits of the attack speed out of it, but honestly, Predator helps out your ganks so much, and Hail of Blade, it doesn't boost up your judgment, so I'm not entirely sure what the idea behind this is. Maybe he just wants something additional to add to his ability to pick up these fights, but it does mean that he's going to have trouble engaging them in the first place.
That word going to be spotted out from Nampa High, and you hear the matching skins of the lovers duo there going, I guess, in the background. So, again, they played your Garen. Are you really going to be upset that they run Hail of Blades? Like, come on, Lovely, you can't do that.
I'm not going to be upset about that. I'm curious, like, seriously, I have been writing a guide on how to Garen, and it is a long, extensive thing. Which,
Mobalytics?
no, not on Mobile yet. It's just a Google document that I've got sitting around.
Like an old school
Making
game
sure
of
that I know
FAQs.
everything. Yeah, of course. Just like they did in the good old days. am I
2 minutes
dating
in a
myself. You
much
dated yourself,
slower.
too.
Yeah, we all did. Much slower game this time around as far as these two teams are concerned. At this point last game, we already had a couple of kills on board as a great hook is going to land. I love Swain's support. It's a lot of fun. But here comes Gwen Wanabon with the rise to follow. Needs help from his top laner, but he is none the wiser here as First Blood's going to go to the jungle. Garen, what game am I even watching anymore? A great hook right there, though, is going to continue to put damage onto the side of Nampa High. They're going to get out with one.
Demacia, baby. Garen has a really strong level 2, and that's something that's true even up in the top lane. But Rek'Sai, in terms of fighting ability, really can't match a Juggernaut. She's a diver. She just doesn't have the tankiness to do that until she's got a few items under her belt. Garen, meanwhile, like, he picks up free stats as soon as he gets his W and has a little CS. So no problems there. Meanwhile, we do have a scuffle in the top lane. Dark Heavenly Wolf and Max Lives doing a great job against each other. Guanabon just bullying now in this jungle. Doc not able to do anything in response. Smites away the Gromp. And just every little bit counts at this point.
Yeah, and you notice that all the lanes are either stable or ahead or not, like, too far behind. Again, it's early in these games. I wanted people to pay attention to the CS, so I did want to give a tip of the hat, especially to the ADCs, who have been pretty on par over the course of the last handful of games, especially when going against each other. But then a great double lockdown is going to spell a sizable amount of damage in favor of Mountain Home as Dark Heavenly Wolf continues to push this top lane, just absolutely hammering this Cho'Gath.
Yeah, Orin's been one of the top lane staples for a reason. As a tank, he just deals so much damage despite being so durable. Cho'Gath does ultimately beat him out if he sustains, but only if he's able to maintain that sustain without getting blown up.
And it looks like we are going to have a jump in as lagging boss fight is going to take so much damage, fears the feathers, and is going to flash out, but no kills on either end. So bot side in favor of Nampa, while top definitely in favor of Mountain Home. A little bit more poke going down here as Dark Heavenly Wolf has no problem continuing to push this lane. Another great drop in, and it looks like we are going to have a fight here as damage piece by piece coming out, but the crows are going to come through. Ignite is burned. Heal is going to also come through there, and a Rek'Sai from the river is just going to have to peel out. But here comes Gwen Wanabon, is able to get the outflank. What a hook, and the Q from the Kaisa is going to pick that up.
This fight's not over though. Lagging boss fight does take a little bit of damage, takes the knockup, is going to walk out away though. So overall, great start from Mountain Home. Bit of an unfortunate situation there for Doc, trying to come in for a gank, but his team backed away, so he just got collapsed on. So I don't think that he is a bad jungler. I know some people would look at his score over these games and say, oh, well, not that great. I think he's doing a great job considering what he's had to deal with. He's just had one unfortunate situation after another, and at this point I have to wonder if it's just not his lucky day.
Yeah, again, that was a play that looked really, really good, but the communication is off by just a little bit, not a whole lot. And again, the fancy feet from all of these players have been really impressive, especially on the side of Mountain Home. That remains, you know, to be said. But as far as Nampa High is concerned, they're doing everything they can. They're just, again, a second or two too late. And when they do take aggressive plays, Mountain Home is right there immediately.
Yeah, they're doing a great job just controlling the map. We now can have a look at the vision, and we can already see some red wards starting to sneak their way into the blue side jungle now here as there is an engagement in the top lane. Doc is there. He might find his first successful gank of the series. Dark Heavenly Wolf, though, is durable enough to survive, is going to be forced to back away, not able to follow. There's no jungler there. Looks like he's going to go through, get himself out safely. Actually, looks like a bit of a loop around trying to find something, but neither side going to commit to a fight.
A little bit of a mind game there. You think that maybe Nampa High was waiting to see if that Garen was there because they didn't have vision on him?
I mean, certainly they didn't have vision on him anywhere, but currently he's in the middle of invading Doc's jungle and taking everything he can get because they knew that the Rek'Sai was on that top side.
Right, so very interesting play there and good move from Dark Heavenly Wolf to, ooh, wow, great headbutt there as well. He's gonna put the Shatter on an auto to follow, puts max lives below 200. As Mountain Home is looking to close this game out if they can. CS differentials definitely in favor on the top side as well as the jungle, which has pretty much primarily been the story of these handful of games. But Doc is going to flash, gets the pop, but Dark Heavenly Wolf flash and a charge as well. The Q stun is going to land here in the mid lane. X-Ray taking a little bit of damage, but not enough to stray away. As Gwenwanabon is taking the drugs here on the bottom side, has absolutely decimated the entirety of Nampa High's bottom side jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what happens when you spot that Rek'Sai out in the jungle. Just invade on the other side, take all of his stuff. If you're going to spend so much time trying to deal with my top laner, I'm going to make sure that you're not going to get anything out of it. Although we do see the Cho'Gath going in, he does have the ult. Max lives, picks up an elimination against Dark Heavenly Wolf, and a stack.
Gobble, 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 as it appears to be the case, as the Cho'Gath completely consumes what remained of that Orin's health. Expending a flash, maybe a little overzealous, but Gwenwanabon here is going to Q. He's gonna flash, spin to win, I am out of here, but he's gonna get caught by the stun there, as Lux is gonna have to make a decision. That decision is to shield, run, and drop the E, and the shoop de whoop is Hungry Dragon lands the final spark, and then is going to continue this onslaught of damage here as X-Ray tries to get out, is clipped by the E, and auto attack might be enough. Maybe even, well, he already ulted. It doesn't have the mana to follow. I get a little ahead of myself when it comes to a Lux. You just assume you have infinite mana until you don't. Then you realize, oh.
Yeah, a little over-aggressive there on the side of Mountain Home there. Trying to take the dragon, but they didn't have any presence in the area, so as a result, Gwenwanabon does get caught out, is sent on a one-way trip back to the base. However, looks like that blue team, Nampa High, gonna pick up the dragon, and that Ocean Drake is gonna be great for sustaining them, especially in that top lane where there's been so much back and forth.
They were taking a look at like the infographics of like dragon percentages, and it's only a percent or two. Sorry, I'm gonna shut up as we got a gank here on the bottom side. Looks like the Swain is going to burn his ult, doing as much damage as he can here. Is able to heal up a little bit, but not enough. The W there from boss fight is going to proc. They were afraid of the killer instinct. Meanwhile, on the top side, Max Lives could once again find himself on the receiving end of that consume. Here comes the jungle presence. Here comes that Garen, and once again the consume is absolutely
Demacia!
And there it is, as Lovely calls it as he sees it. Another one there for the side of Mountain Home.
Oh, I'm so thrilled right now. You have no idea.
No, please elaborate. Why are you so excited, Lovely?
Oh, I mean, it's not like, you know, a champion that never gets played is being played in the top lane and or in the jungle and doing really well, even with like kind of an interesting build that I might have to experiment with later.
You're blowing Lovely's mind right now. Well, Gwenwanabon has just had one heck of a series, man. We were talking about the mobility of the champions he was playing, with the exception of the Heimerdinger. Like, the ability to get all over the map without any real effort. Again, just the champions alone. The hookshot probably a little bit better than your Garen Q, sure, but he apparently can just run whatever he wants from a pure AP to these unbelievable juggernaut tanks. So, very, very good series from Gwenwanabon, no matter what happens here in these next handful of games, or this last game for that matter.
Yeah, that being said, Nampa High trying to put some numbers on the board. They are staying relatively even, only 2k gold behind at this point. Max lives now, putting down a lot of damage with that Glacial Augment. Isn't going to be able to follow up, chase him all the way, though.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things where when you take 1,000 true damage, it hurts. You know, like when that Cho'Gath gets to a point where he can consume your entire health bar, it's one of those feel bad kind of situations. Obviously, going to be more on the other side, but it looks like Gwenwanabon picked up the Rift Herald there. Should be able to collapse here on the mid lane if they so choose. That Q's going to bait her out a little bit as she wants to jump in, as Hungry Dragon is going to get the shield as well as burn the barrier, and there goes the ultimate, but it is not enough. As Max Lives going head-to-head with Dark Heavenly Wolf here. The pop-up not going to land. That could have been a death knell, but it appears not to be the case. And there is that Rift Herald we were talking about.
Oh yeah, Guanabon. Unfortunately, overstaying there. Garen's durable, but he's not that durable. And now X-Ray is up in a 1 versus 2. Is able to dodge the Q from Lux, so that's pretty big. Going to keep himself alive. Shield comes out onto Doc, but X-Ray is able to stay alive, still with a solid health bar.
I feel like they're being a little more aggressive than they normally would be. They kind of want to just close this out. They want to strut their stuff a little bit. So it doesn't surprise me that the overall is closer. This time only ahead by 2.3K. That's fine. You know, it's not the 10K that we were used to seeing at around 13 minutes. So we'll see if Nampa will be able to find their first win or if Mountain Home is walking away with the overall W. Is going to put some damage down. I thought he might have the hook. Does not appear to be the case. Going to peel out so those feathers don't lock them in.
Oh, Nampa is definitely meeting their conditions of slowing down, but here comes the Realm Warp. There's the engagement, although great job using the quickening there by the Recon. Is able to completely thwart the gank, so really great play by that bot lane duo to keep themselves alive against 4 members, but they do still have to deal with the potential of a tower dive.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very interesting setup using the Realm Warp to get in. I feel like had they not given away their position, that might have been a different scenario. It's one of those things you see the portal behind you, you're like, oh, I should probably leave. Like you said, the quickening as well as the ultimate there from Xayah, able to get them out unbelievably easy.
We are now at the 13:45 mark, so about 10 seconds and these tower plates will be dropping. Gold lead overall is going to Mountain Home, but it's not such a huge lead. And we do see ganks happening in multiple lanes at the same time here. Goes for the spin, does not get it. Drops the Demacia, but not able to finish him off. Just not quite enough damage at this point in the game. And that's the downside of running Hail of Blades.
Well, we'll see what happens as the ultimate is burned here on the bottom side. Hungry Dragon was able to pick up the kill in the mid lane. I'm just going to assume, yes, with the final spark as well. So while the gangs don't necessarily work out in the immediate, Hungry Dragon is able to pick up yet another one with that ultimate. So that will definitely help, having a much better game this time around. Nampa High looking to stay alive.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of it as well, even with the pressure that Mountain Home is trying to put on them. And most importantly, their champions do scale better into the later game. That Cho'Gath is crazy good. Xayah has some fantastic scaling she can get with the Featherstorm, especially if she lands it onto multiple members. The only one you really got to worry about in terms of Mountain Home, in terms of scaling, is the Ryze. Certainly, Ornn will bring some more power to his team in that later game, but Ryze scales incredibly well, and they have the tools to protect him. So if Nampa High can get on top of this Ryze, if they can get a Ryze out of him. Meanwhile, we do see the teleport is coming in from Mountain Home. They are in the Dragon Pit. Ryze comes through, isn't able to pick up a kill. They do a bit of damage, but Flash is going to be committed to keep him safe. The Mountains Rise it will be the Earth Dragon. Ornhorn comes through trying to find a target. Doesn't find it, but they do get the knock up there onto the Lux. Pinned in a corner. Dark Heavenly Wolf picks up Doc, and now it's Hungry Dragon trying to get out with his life. Is able to escape.
I'm curious, I'm not exactly sure what happened to the teleport there. It had to have been interrupted because nobody appeared after so long. They will lose the dragon, but Mountain Home able to find themselves here in the mid lane. So a very cattywampus fight, but they definitely should be able to come out ahead here. Again, I'm being a little bit oxymoronic because I still don't know what to expect fight after fight. When Wanabon going to try to zone all these individuals out, they will still be able to pick up that mid-tier 1.
Yep, doing a great job clearing out the vision, because that's what you need when you're trying to get offensive here. They do have pressure. Taking down that mid lane turret is going to leave so much of the map more open to them, which they already had a lot of control over the jungle on the bottom side of the map. So now they're just going to use that pressure to potentially take more towers.
And as of right now, with about the 17-minute mark about us, the Nampa High up a kill, but the goal difference is monumental 4K gold separate these two teams. Mountain Home looking to close out this day of the tournament with the win. All they have to do is get one more. But Nampa High showing signs of life more so than they have in any of the games previous. X-Ray's caught out once again. Final Spark absolutely turns him to Thanos dust as Void Potatoes has to get out of here as well. Meanwhile, Max Lives is now given the okay to move in here on the top side. They're gonna find so much resources, or so many resources here. In comes the shot as well from Kaisa, but they don't want to necessarily Killer Instinct in, as it looks like when Wanabon was trying to set up some kind of play there. Nampa High starting to move ahead.
Yeah, great call by them, backing off, and they're actually going to use the Lovers Duo combination. But Guanabon does find a target out in the jungle, Max Lives, who is not quite to that tanky Cho'Gath point. He does, however, have the ability to slow Guanabon down. There's the turnaround.
Oh, no.
Doesn't have the ult, not able to commit it. Starts spinning in the middle of the crowd control. Dark Heavenly Wolf picks up Doc, and there's Demacia, baby! One more ultimate comes down with the Justice, but Max Lives, the one who was attacked at the start of all this, does manage to get away, unless he's going to stick around. He is giving up a little bit from that Ocean Dragon. There's the engagement. Goes over to Garrett, does get the blue buff, and Max Lives does feast on Guanabon. So he does not get out of it with his life. Void Potatoes takes out Max Lives, but the shutdown goes over to the Zaya. So overall, Nampa High doing a great job here. X-Ray, Realm Warped in, but now he's surrounded, has Doc on top of him, is taking a lot of damage. Lagging boss fight comes around the edge, but Hungry Dragon picks up the elimination. Doc is low, but he should be safe to get out of here as long as he doesn't wander into anything he shouldn't. Hungry Dragon, though, is going to go down to Void Potatoes, using that Electrocute Mastery to get just enough damage to take him out.
Not that I need an instant replay as to what that was, but you know, that was an interesting fight, as again, the Rise Realm Warps in long after the fight was pretty much done. Swain respects nobody at this point, just walks right in at 2-0-1 at less than 200 health and is able to get yet another kill there. So again, this game is way closer than we've seen, but somehow, some way, Mountain Home just keeps finding that much more of a resource advantage.
Indeed they do, and they're doing a great, and Nampa High, I think, though, is doing a great job at holding them at bay. They played that fight so smart. They took all the picks that they wanted. Maybe they should have backed out a little bit sooner. I think they were getting a little greedy. That's one of the downsides to feeling like you're behind the entire game. Twin Shadows does come out onto Dark Heavenly Wolf. He's 1 versus 3. There's the knockup. Buddy, I don't think you're getting out of this, even with that dash. Call of the Forge God comes through. He's not able to even proc it. Camroth is going to pick up the elimination now. As Guanabon does find out Doc in the jungle. He's in an unfortunate situation. Flash! Demacia, baby! Picks up the buffs on the backside as well. He's so tanky going through the middle of all of this. He is taking a lot of damage, though. Is being forced to back away. Does he have the health? No. Hungry Dragon is going to get the revenge kill. But Void Potatoes is going to fall as well. Feast, again, over to this Cho'Gath.
How about a free Baron? No Baron? Okay. Well, they had an opportunity there. I feel like Nampa definitely could have turned on that and taken a very, very early Baron, but instead they will opt for what I think is going to be this dragon. They may try to collapse here on the bottom side. So to stave a little bit of the bleeding Mountain Home will find themselves a bottom turret, but a disastrous fight nonetheless.
One thing that we do have to note is that Mountain Home did pick up a turret on the backside of that fight. They didn't have their AD carry with them. So lagging boss fight is going to take that up. The ultimate comes through, but Final Spark not quite enough to take out Extra at this point. Mountain Drake actually going to go over to Nampa High. So they're now at 3 dragons keeping up with Mountain Home step for step. We could see the reverse sweep.
I mean, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves again, as it looks like Void Potato's gonna do the best that he can here. Dark Heavenly Wolf looking for a top side. We still got plenty of game to play, but yes, Drake Point in favor of Nampa High. I still am not sure why they didn't just 4-man the Baron. Maybe they didn't have enough damage at the time. I feel like that could have definitely helped, especially considering the top side is so low, as well as, well, I guess bottom turn's pretty healthy, but they will opt to put themselves at Drake Point. Not a bad idea either, as, again, Nampa has to win this game. If they are not able to, that is it in the tournament for them, and Mountain Home will be walking away with the W.
It's possible they just wanted the extra durability that the Mountain Drake provides for them, especially since they do have a few champions that really need to be buff enough to start picking these fights, the Cho'Gath especially. Speaking of which, Max Live now in a dangerous situation. He does have help, though, in the form of a Recon and a Xayah, apparently, but there's the knockup. Max Live's very low on health. Dark Heavenly Wolf trying to get out of here. Does use the Blast Stone to hop over the wall. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to follow up.
Glovely, via chat, have you explained why the team with Garen most likely will win the game yet?
I haven't yet. I can't
think now's
honestly
the time.
say they are most likely to win the game, but generally they're more likely to pick the game, or win the game, because they picked Garen. Just period. Straight up picking Garen improves your win chance. It's like totally legit. I found it on this website that I definitely didn't write myself. Really, the strong point that Garen brings to the table is that he does a lot of shredding. In terms of his armor shred, as long as he has enough spins, he can shred your health bar. He stacks additional armor shred. If you build Black Cleaver on him, he shreds additional armor. So if you have a really high AD damage team, really great champion. But in this case, Mountain Home is very AP heavy. They have, of course, they have the Ord in the top lane, who's very AP damage oriented. Ryze, of course, full AP burst mage. Kai'Sa actually very AP oriented, and Swain is a mage support. So not really taking the most advantage of this champion, but they do have a lot of tools that they can use to get him into a fight. Guanabon is going to use that W to keep himself relatively unharmed by the Lux E there. Not able to put enough pressure on this mid lane to go anywhere with it.
They need to be careful because it looks like Max is going to be jumping on in as Lives is going to burn the GPL, as it looks like Dark Heavenly Wolf, Guanabon, and now Doc are getting into a fight here in the Tribush. Guanabon says Dermacia finds himself yet another 5-4 and 3, and now the quickness is coming out with a flank on the south side by the river. Not going to be able to land the binding, but the Ornn will fall as Cameroon finds yet another one. Now the Garen is all by his lonesome. Just kidding. Here comes the cavalry as the Xayah as well as the Swain join the fray. But Nampa High is more than okay with that, picking themselves up a couple of kills there and moving towards the top side that I had already mentioned is very, very weak. So if they are able to get a couple of autos in, just let your support take it. Why not? Sure. Oh, maybe? There you go. But Guanabon actually doesn't even need to be there. The extra turret shot, the taunting of that tower could be the undoing. A great hook, and it looks like Kamarov is going to have to get out of there using the ult and the Featherstorms. But now we have a teleport coming in. Max Lives is 2v1. Just kidding. Here comes your mid laner to help out in just the nick of time to push away the bottom lane aggression from Mountain Home.
Yeah, teleport used there by Dark Heavenly Wolf, so that is a bit of an advantage. There is no teleport for Max Lives either, but he is going to have that little bit quicker on cooldown, so they might want to look to try and find something in that window when it comes up. Both sides now backing up, trying to buy some items here. We are now 25.5 minutes into the game. Big power spikes coming out for a lot of these champions. So now X-Ray being caught out in the jungle by this Cho'Gath. Really tanky, it's hard to get away. Here comes Call of the Force God, though, trying to interrupt him. Max Lives is taking some damage, but he lands the Q. Here comes Guanabon. Max Lives, though, is going to get the solo kill overall. Guanabon now in a 3 versus 1 scenario. Unfortunate for him. He's got some teammates in the area, but I don't think there'll be enough to turn this fight around. Shut down on the Cho'Gath on the top of his Garen. Gets the Feast stack as well. Dark Heavenly Wolf has nowhere to go. That's 5 members now, and he is going to go down. Hungry Dragon picks up the kill.
Well then. Looks like it's going to be Drake here for the side of Nampa High, getting themselves the 4th out of 4. So they are going to be loving that. Even tankier than they were before and able to just run rampant throughout the course of this map. Looks like Nampa will be pushing us into a game number 4, unless something crazy comes out of Mountain Home, who are currently down around 4,000 gold.
Now, there is one danger to keep in mind whenever a soul comes up. Yes, Mountain Soul did go over to Nampa High, which will make them better in these fights, especially if they can go in and out of them to refresh the shielding that they get. But remember that means that Elder Dragon spawns. And if you pick up an Elder Dragon, even if you didn't get any of the other dragons, that's a really dangerous buff to let a team have.
Nice 10% health. Now you're gone. LOL, smiley face. I've lost more than my fair share of games to one of the strongest buffs in the entire game. And again, Baron is still up and available. So as far as this game is concerned, a completely different story, even if the gold difference has been the same. This time, Nampa has the kill advantage and the objective advantage undeniably here in this 3rd game, as X-Ray is going to peel out and just kind of keep pushing the wave there with Gwenwanabon.
Yeah, they're doing a great job here on Nampa High. They absolutely met their win condition. Well, maybe not their win condition quite yet. They still have some time before they hit that Nexus. But they were able to stall out Mountain Game's impressive early game status. And as a result, they now have themselves a Cho'Gath who's sitting on, I believe, 6 stacks now, not including what he gets from just picking up minions. A lot of pressure now onto this Gare. They do get the elimination with the Feast stack, so Max Lives feeling pretty good about himself right now as Mountain Home is getting run down here. The Call of the Forge God, unfortunately the headbutt whiffs, doesn't manage to send it back, and now he might be caught out as he pops Righteous Glory. Boy Potatoes, though, going to pop his own ultimate as well, just to try and ward them off. Doc is going to pick up Boy Potatoes, but he trades his life to legging boss fight as a result.
And a lot of chaos here. Nampa High looking good, but Mountain Home is not done quite yet. Not going to do anything other than just push them off of the tower, but they will find 1 kill traded over for the handful they gave back to Nampa High, as Mountain Home again 7-1-5 is this Lux right here. Hungry Dragon 7 having a great game this time around, as well as Max Live 7-3-5 already has Twin Shadows, GPL, as well as a Righteous Glory. That is a lot of tank stat, as well as not necessarily tank stat, but slowing is what I was going for, CC. On the side of Nampa High.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the point where those late game champions are starting to be much more prominent. Although I must say that Hungry Dragon is a terrifying force in this game. 7-1-5 on this Lux now. Just picking off with final sparks in good scenarios and finding good picks with the Q. But it looks like Mountain Home has opted for the Baron. There's no vision on the side of Nampa High of this Baron being taken, but even so, it's a bit risky. They do have all 5 members here.
Oh, they're burning it.
Looks like Nampa High does know, but they're not here in time for to be able to stop it. Featherstorm does come into the pit. Is he going to find anything off of it? Doesn't call them back. Does manage to call them back. In fact, but they are going to lose their recon as a result. They're continuing to charge down. They would need to eliminate as many Baron buffs as they possibly can. They lose Kamarov there. Call of the Forge God goes through the team, and actually Mountain Home winning this fight handily. Quadra kill over to legging boss fight. That's an ace for Mountain Home.
Unbelievable. It's a quad. A hat trick is 3. It's a turkey or something. Sorry. Anyways, that Kaisa went absolutely ape on the other team, but like a Dark Void ape kind of thing, as Kaisa was absolutely untouched that entire time. Was able to use the killer instinct to jump back in, gets a beautiful position, and the rest of Mountain Home may have just secured this game. It looks so good for Nampa High. They sneak themselves a Baron, and now they're able to get not only 1, but 2 inhibitor turrets and inhibitors to follow. But a fight is going to come out. Camera is not done here. In jumps the Recon, and as well as the Rek'Sai. But it looks like Gwenwanabon is just going to flash. Demacia! He gets 1! He's still alive! but in comes the ultimate there from the rest of Nampa High. Mountain Home had everything. They got greedy, and they will sacrifice 3 members for an inhibitor as well as a turret on the top side.
Now keep in mind that they did open up the base as well as pick up themselves an inhibitor, so that's free pressure that they're going to have on the map at all times. So maybe not great to lose multiple members as a result of it. Nampa High actually leading in kills right now, so great job on their part. But unfortunately, if you look at the towers, that tells a different story as to what's been happening in this game. Yes, they found the kills. Yes, they found the dragons, but they haven't been able to get any towers off of it, and that is the name of the game.
Well, again, Nampa High does have quite a bit to work with, but the gold difference has very rarely been in their favor. However, this time, the KD spread is on their side. They have shown that not only can they capture the dragon objective, they can also fight. They can find these picks. They've been able to whittle away at each and every piece of Mountain Home, but for some reason, Mountain Home is just unrelenting, and this is what it will come down to. All 5 versus 3. They didn't know. Elder Dragon's up. The rest of Nampa High is down. Void Potatoes is going to pick that one up. Can't run away from the fastest boy, as Gwen Wanabon is going to head back towards Elder, and it looks like X-Ray was able to find a third, and that is going to be a free Elder. Uh-oh, here comes the Cho'Gath, gonna try to be a hero, but instead gonna get locked out, and a great use of the blast code puts him right in the direct line of fire, tries to flash out, but the rest of Mountain Home is there. They will undoubtedly pick this up. In jumps the Rakan. No, it was a nice try though, and now the red team is picking up Elder, a double kill once again for lagging boss fight and ace, and more than likely the series going in favor of Mountain Home, especially with that teleport coming in.
Yeah, Realm Warp used to just get them into the base. They already have the minions there from that pressure that they had in that mid lane on the inhibitor. And I believe that now Mountain Home is your high school champion.
Unbelievable, and they deserved it. Just unbelievable prowess. They pick up the sweep and looks oh so good doing.
So we're going to have to talk about that Hail of Blades Garen build at a later date, but for now at least, Mountain Home, congratulations on your victory here. Nampa High, you guys also played great, so don't be down on yourselves for that loss. This was a fantastic final round of games here for the tournament.
And again, we saw really unorthodox stuff absolutely work out, and I love to see it. We might have some replays, I'm not entirely sure, but again, as you said, congratulations to Mountain Home. The League of Legends Idaho Army National Guard High School Series Champions is a very awesome title to have, and they can basically hold their heads high as they've earned it, as they just absolutely rolled through the first 2 games and find themselves a victory here in the third.
And on top of that, we got to see exactly what macro play can do to a game. And I hope that for a lot of you folks watching at home, you can use that as a valuable learning experience. Like, objectives are key to the game. Objectives are what kept Nampa High going, even in a situation where they weren't necessarily leading off the game so well. But also, objectives are what did them in. They didn't have any towers. They didn't have any lane pressure. And ultimately, it was an open lane that left the minions to be able to continue attacking the Nexus, even when they were doing Dragon.
Yeah, and again, just great setups from both sides, great attempts. There had to be a winner, and as we said, it is Mountain Home. But it looks like we have a little bit of spicy goodness for you, as I do believe we might have our player of the game. Any ideas who that might be, Glovely?
If I had to guess, probably Gwenonabon, based on the way that he led his team, had so much pressure on the map as a jungler, and so many eliminations.
Absolutely, and that Lux was just definitely destroying everything in her mid lane path. A lot of 2v1 outplays, so I'm curious to see who will end up being our player of the game, our MVP, if you will, and then we might even have some extra replays for you on top of that. But thank you guys so much for swinging on in. Let's take a look at the player of the game here, if it can get there. We go.
All right, the question is, who's it going to be? It looks like it is going to be Gwynonabon of Mountain Home. He was absolutely dominant in every single one of these games here. First on this Heimerdinger, created so much pressure. And on top of that, just really forced Hungry Dragons out of his jungle, not able to do anything on his Warwick.
Yeah, and again, the way that Gwynonabon carried not the first 2 games, but found a way back in with your crowd favorite, the Garen in the jungle. You see there the flash, the grenade, and just so many resources taken. Gwynonabon didn't even need mobile champions to find himself in lane, theirselves in lane, my apologies, as this one right here, 3 turrets, 1 dinger, 3 opposing members, as Gwynonabon gets the quad, is unable to find the penta there, as that grenade would have done it, but it was a nice little flash there. Is going to.
Oh, I think everybody watching was hoping for that penta kill to come down. I don't think we could have hoped for anything more. We also saw fantastic play. Look at the waiting, the patience on that Camille. So many players, like you mentioned earlier, will just pop that hook shot, but sometimes you wait a little bit and an opportunity will present itself. Just barely able to catch the hitbox on that carry. And we saw what the mobility can do when he has the mobility that he didn't have on the Heimerdinger, that he didn't have on the Garen. It made him such a terrifying threat from all angles.
I wish I had one of those pen things so I could point it out, but that rock in between the 2 inhibitors, that's probably the first time in the first game in God knows how long that I have seen a Camille use that rock as an escape mechanism / an aggressive move. So again, Gwynonabon playing at 5,000 IQ. That's right, I definitely didn't just pick a number out of thin air, but you see right here again, that Garen jungle, the hail of blades coming through, and just a very well-deserved player of the game. Brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, meaning Gwynonabon gets I don't know, we'll make you like a MS Paint trophy. I think that's right. Is that the way we're going about it?
Yeah, I think we can do that. We'll see what we can do with some MS Paint. Maybe draw some MS Paint champions around to celebrate.
Like the ultimate Pictionary. Who's that champion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, some more good news for you. They're Glovely. Of course, no night is complete. We've got our player of the game. Now let's take a quick peek at the top 5 plays of the game.
All right, here we go. At top and jungle to meet max lives is just barely having enough health to survive with the Q. Is going to go down to the buckler, and that may give Gwynonabon enough health to turn this fight around. Hungry Dragon takes so much. Look at the damage he's getting out of that press the attack rune. For max life. Peeking out to St. Dark Heavenly Wolf, and he's doing a pretty good job. Oh, down the bot lane, we do see a taunt come out. Kyosaurus is going to find Glitch again. Not enough damage. Dark Heavenly Wolf goes in again. Rocks the damage. First blood in the top lane. You got to be careful of Renekton. He has so much early game pressure. He can run away with the game if you let him. Get the elimination for himself. As that inhibitor goes down, there's the engagement. The hook shot onto the back line. Gwynonabon is monstrous. Take hold of Mana just to get the name here. They are going to get away. No, Legging Cloudspite still wants the battle and looks like he is going to find 2. He's going to find 2 eliminations for himself. Gwynonabon picks him.
Here comes Gwynonabon. 90% of his team's resources are on him, and look at how much damage those towers do. Those little turrets are absolutely exponential here. It's 1v3, now a 2v1.
It's going to be a penta!
It could very well be, as Gwynonabon has the 1v3. And what an exhilarating night of high school esports it was. Again, my name is Adam Chizu McGuire, joined with Daniel Glovely Clock. Thank you so much again, man, for joining me today. Another shout out and congratulations to Mountain Home picking up the victory here over Nampa High. But it was quite a day for the Idaho Army National Guard League of Legends High School Series.
Yeah, and thank you all for attending, of course. Thank those of you who participated. Thank you, Boise State, for setting this on, as well as the Idaho Army National Guard for being involved with this. You've all been so great. I got to see Garen today, a Heimerdinger jungle, got a quadra kill. Like, this has been a great way to end this tournament.
Absolutely. And once again, thank you guys so much for joining us at home, wherever you may be. I missed that desk. I miss it so much. One day we will be back at the Venture College, and we will be able to bring you some more esports action. Until then, toss a follow, like, and subscribe kind of situation. That way you know whenever Boise State Esports has something super spicy for you. For myself, Glovely, as well as the entire production crew, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.